Chapter 264. When Hanxing Zhang Heng, at this moment, opened his personal information to take a glance. Host, Zhang Heng, abilities. Core of Icewords manifest reality demon of sand strength 3931 speed, 3933 mentality, 3986 gene, LV 456 skills. Self-healing LV 1 mastery of longsword LV 1 close combat LV 5 mastery of repeating crossbow LV 1 ice shield LV 5 ice spike LV 1 ice domain LV 1 jet flight LV 1 multiple control LV 5 extreme cold current LV 1 points 124,512 zombie no 1 strength 1467 speed 1461 mentality 1434 gene LV 333 skills. Self-healing LV 1 mastery of longsword LV 1 close combat LV 5 titanization zombie no 2 strength 1497 speed 1492 mentality 1437 gene LV 333 skills. Self-healing LV 3 titanization zombie no 3 strength 1477 speed 1423 mentality 1417 gene LV 371 skills. Self-healing LV 5 steel skin LV 4 gluttony LV 2 zombie no 4 strength 2377 speed 1493 mentality 1017 gene LV 487 skills. Bone armor LV 1 self-healing LV 10 titanization. The gene unlocking progress of all zombies has increased by 8, which seems quite promising. Returning to the flying bunker, Zhang Heng had just changed his clothes when he noticed a few individuals suddenly appearing outside. The entrance of the flying bunker slowly opened, and those outside gathered around, standing at the threshold with vigilant expressions, scrutinizing the interior. Yang Nan, having changed her attire, emerged from the bedroom and cast a glance at Zhang Heng, questioning, "Zhang Heng, what is the matter?" Zhang Heng replied, "There are people outside. I intend to approach them." Yang Nan nodded in understanding. "I see. They must have spotted your flying bunker and are curious." Zhang Heng smiled faintly. "Let's hope so." He stepped out of the flying bunker and found 3 individuals waiting outside. They each exuded a distinct aura. Their gazes were sharp, and though they stood apart, their stances indicated readiness to respond swiftly to any imminent threat. Clearly, they had entered a state of heightened alert. The 3 appeared to be of similar age, likely in their 30s, all men. The leader was a burly man with a crew cut, resembling a bear, with fists as large as cooking pots. Scrutinizing Zhang Heng as he emerged from the bunker, the others mirrored this scrutiny. Zhang Heng smiled slightly. "Are you survivors from Wuhan?" The trio exchanged glances before the burly man spoke up. The man with the flat cap smiled slightly before extending his right hand toward Zhang Heng. "I am Lu Ting. A pleasure to meet you." Zhang Heng replied. "Yes, the other 2 are Li Tao, and the shorter one is Yangda. We are all survivors from Wuhan." Zhang Heng nodded in understanding. "It appears you have no immediate needs for assistance?" Lu Ting inquired with curiosity. "Are you here to help us?" Zhang Heng sighed. "I have aided numerous survivors across various cities, whether by providing supplies or assisting in eliminating zombies." Upon hearing this, Lu Ting immediately lowered his guard and regarded the man before him with admiration. In these dire times, where everyone is consumed by fear, it is indeed rare to find someone willing to extend a helping hand. "By the way, what is that behind you?" We initially thought it was an alien spacecraft, considering that at this juncture, even the arrival of extraterrestrials would hardly surprise us. Zhang Heng glanced back at the flying bunker and explained, "Oh, that is my flying vehicle, called the flying bunker. I use it to traverse the skies in search of survivors in need. If I'm not mistaken, it seems all 3 of you have unlocked the 4th genetic lock." Lu Ting smiled faintly. "Aren't you as well?" At that moment, Yang Nin emerged from the flying bunker. The smile that once adorned Lu Ting's face abruptly froze, and all 3 men wore expressions of shock as they swiftly retreated. "What is happening? Why are you with a 5th phase zombie? You have encountered a 5th phase zombie?" Zhang Heng asked in confusion. Lu Ting's face darkened. "We killed one with our own hands. How can we not recognize it? Are you also a 5th phase zombie? But your hair." Yang Nin interjected, "Do not worry. Zhang Heng is not a zombie. I am indeed a 5th phase zombie, but I pose no threat to humanity." Together with Zhang Heng, I have rescued numerous survivors and vanquished many zombies. Yet, I have never encountered another fifth-phase zombie aside from myself. How did you manage to kill one? Lu Ting, puzzled, queried. You're a zombie. Why would you assist humans? Does that not seem somewhat illogical? At this moment, all present were enveloped in profound confusion, for such occurrences were exceedingly bizarre. A fifth-phase zombie fighting alongside an evolved human was unheard of. The trio before them had all unlocked the fourth phase of evolution, demonstrating remarkable strength, and had even slain a fifth-phase zombie. Zhang Heng deemed it necessary to clarify the situation. Otherwise, things could escalate into a troublesome confrontation. Lu Ting and the other two, please remain calm. Not all zombies are malevolent, and not all beings are benevolent. Although Yang Nan is a fifth-stage zombie, he has never harmed an evolved being. The reason I accompany him is that he possesses the ability to transform zombies back into humans. Our objective is to seek out advanced zombies, attempting to convert them into humanity. Unfortunately, we have yet to encounter a zombie willing to undergo such transformation. At this moment, Lu Tao interjected. How can you expect us to believe you? We have lost hundreds of evolved beings in our struggle against the fifth-stage zombies, all of whom had their third genetic lock released, and one even had the fourth lock undone. If you cannot convince us, we will certainly not let you go. The atmosphere in the room instantly became tense. Li Tao, the tall figure behind Lu, spoke gravely. To eliminate the fifth-stage zombies, nearly all survivors in our city have perished. However, we have now discerned the weaknesses of these zombies, and we are confident in our ability to defeat them. You had better provide a truthful account or present us with convincing arguments. Otherwise, we will not allow you to leave here easily. Associating with zombies is inherently fraught with danger. It seems these individuals have succumbed to their hatred. Witnessing Yang Nan's complete detachment from his former allies, who moments ago were jovial, now eager to attack, is disheartening. Yang Nan is at a loss, unaware that his presence would lead Zhang Heng into such turmoil. How can they prove their harmlessness? What methods could be employed to demonstrate this? Chapter 265, Misunderstanding resolved. At this moment, Zhang Heng suddenly had a revelation. He took out his phone and quickly searched online, soon locating the recorded video from his live stream. Approaching Lu Ting, he said, "Do not be alarmed. I wish to show you something." Zhang Heng held his phone before Lu Ting, who looked at it with curiosity, asking, "What is this?" Zhang Heng explained, "We occasionally conduct live streams on the internet to disseminate information to other survivors regarding our encounters along the way. The evidence you seek is contained within." "Live stream?" Lu Ting responded, his face a mask of confusion. Zhang Heng elaborated. "The purpose of live streaming is to swiftly relay the information we possess, enabling survivors in other cities to prepare adequately. You'll understand once you view it." Lu Ting took a deep breath and pressed play on the video. Time seemed to slip away as they watched. Once the video concluded, Lu Ting and the others appeared noticeably more at ease. He tossed the phone back to Zhang Heng and said, "Even so, I cannot allow you to enter our territory. Other members may misinterpret her presence, and I apologize for that." Zhang Heng smiled gently, replying, "If you can trust me, that would suffice. It seems you may not require my assistance in dealing with the zombies anymore. What about provisions?" Lu Ting instinctively glanced at him, asking, "Can you assist us with food supplies?" Zhang Heng nodded, "Yes, I can. However, I would like to know how many of you there are, and I'm also curious if you have established any plantations for crops." Lu Ting shook his head. "We have considered it, but we lack seeds. We have searched several malls without success, and even when found, they are often contaminated." Zhang Heng acknowledged, "If convenient, perhaps I could accompany you to your camp?" "Of course. Yang Nan will remain here." Turning to Yang Nan, he added, "I will return shortly." Yang Nan nodded in agreement. "Go ahead, I need to dry my hair." With that, she walked into the flying bunker. Zhang Heng then turned to Lu Ting, who remarked, "If it is just you, we would be most welcoming. Let's proceed." The group made their way towards Wenhansheng. At that moment, Lu Tao could not restrain his curiosity, asking, "Why do you choose to ally with the zombies to save humanity? Are you not afraid of being misunderstood?" Zhang Heng replied, "From the onset of the Titans' emergence, I engaged with them. I discovered that Titans not only possess the ability to speak, but also exhibit thought. These advanced zombies may have the potential for communication. Initially, the Titan squad I encountered had no intention of harming humans. They were merely seeking to protect themselves and to find others like them in various cities to bolster their strength. However, upon humanity's offensive against the Titans, that moment marked the beginning of their hostility towards us, leading to their attacks. Lu Tao inquired what happened afterward. Zhang Heng casually replied, I eradicated them all. Initially, we could have coexisted peacefully with the advanced zombies, but alas. Lu Tao sighed in resignation. Your perspective is exceedingly naive. Zombies, driven by their insatiable hunger for flesh, would never choose to coexist harmoniously with us. Zhang Heng countered. Yet in the early stages, they indeed exhibited behaviors that suggested they would not harm humans. Furthermore, whether zombies or humans, cultivation can be pursued through alternative means. I have already articulated this in the video, provided you paid attention. Lu Tao asked, are you referring to the collection of rainwater? Zhang Heng nodded affirmatively, precisely. Rainwater harbors the virus, which is the very essence of our empowerment. You should consider excavating a reservoir to collect rainwater. It would expedite the unlocking of your genetic potential. After all, with no zombies left in the city, if you cannot temporarily vacate, your only recourse is to absorb the virus from rainwater to enhance yourselves. Alternatively, like me, you could venture to other cities to eliminate zombies. My ultimate aim is to vanquish more advanced zombies, to hasten my own genetic unlocking process. Lu Tao nodded. Upon my return, I shall dig a reservoir. At that moment, Li Tao remarked, no wonder you two spent the entire night outside, drenched in rain. Lu Tao then said, I noticed numerous figures earlier, but now I only see the two of you. Where are the others? Zhang Heng chuckled. The others are resting, so do not concern yourselves with them. How many of you are left? About a dozen. All quite formidable, having survived the battle against the 5th-tier zombies, Lu Tao replied. The 5th-tier zombies are exceedingly powerful. All my companions perished at their hands. This city once teemed with hundreds of thousands of zombies, all eradicated by our mere few hundred. Yet the emergence of the 5th-tier zombies nearly obliterated us. Indeed, the 5th-tier zombies are formidable. Such a dimensional assault is typically insufferable. It is akin to Zhang Heng's experience battling the Bone Demon and Titan, where neither possessed the capacity to resist. However, should he face hundreds of Bone Demons, perhaps with several 5th-tier zombies among them, he might manage to dispatch the majority of Titans and Bone Demons. Yet slaying a 5th-tier zombie would prove exceedingly challenging and could even cost him his life. Moreover, Zhang Heng's decision to bring Yang Nan along in the quest to save humanity was not devoid of personal motives. Once he unlocked the 5th genetic seal, he could designate Yang Nan as his zombie servant. Thus, he fervently hoped to ascend to the 5th tier swiftly. With Wen Han having already encountered 5th-tier zombies, it was conceivable that the next city might present similar challenges. For now, he must prioritize elevating his genetic unlocking progress, which would facilitate his dealings with 5th-tier zombies in the future. Zhang Heng accompanied Lu Tao to their encampment. Their camp was vast, yet at this moment, it exuded an air of profound silence. Only a handful of individuals could be seen meandering about. Evidently, many had once inhabited this place, but now, only a mere dozen remained. The provisions available to these few appear to be scant. Are all your people here? Zhang Heng inquired. Lu Tao nodded, replying yes. They are all here. Recently, they have been digging graves to lay our fallen comrades to rest. Zhang Heng sighed in resignation and remarked, I believe other cities would warmly welcome your arrival. It would be prudent for you to seek refuge in another city alongside other evolvers. I shall ensure you have some provisions to sustain you on your journey. Chapter 266. Yantai, upon hearing this, Lu Tao nodded and remarked, indeed. I will plan for it in due course. At that moment, Zhang Heng retrieved a portion of suspicious supplies from his spatial backpack. Lu Tao stared in astonishment. You possess spatial abilities? Zhang Heng smiled faintly. Otherwise, how could I provide you with these resources? Lu Tao quickly forced a smile, feeling somewhat awkward. Zhang Heng and Yang Nan then departed from Wen Han. Lu Tao, gazing at the scattered supplies, lifted his eyes to the figures of Zhang Heng and Yang Nan, who had already moved far away. Even now, he found it hard to comprehend why such selfless individuals existed in this world. Perhaps it is only those like them who can rescue this ravaged world. Back in the flying bunker, Yongnan spoke, Zhang Heng. When Han has already manifested the fifth form of zombies. It seems we may soon encounter the fifth form ourselves, so prepare yourself mentally. Zhang Heng nodded in response, acknowledging the rapid evolution of the zombies. However, I believe there are others in this world, like Lu Tao and his group, who can also deal with the fifth form zombies. We need not be so pessimistic. Yang Nan nodded in agreement. What city is next? Zhang Heng approached the control panel, examining the map, and replied, Yintai, it's less than half an hour away. Yang Nan nodded. All right then, see you in half an hour. Zhang Heng then entered the training room. Four zombies looked up in unison. Zhang Heng instructed the system to store 1 ton of rainwater in his spatial backpack. The rainwater was contained within a large square vessel, which was promptly placed in the training room. Zhang Heng procured a bathtub and filled it with the rainwater before stepping in. The 4 zombies continued their training undisturbed, while Zhang Heng absorbed the rainwater for his own cultivation. In truth, he did not need to exert much effort. Simply soaking in the rainwater sufficed. During rainfall, an hour spent outside would unlock one of his genetic lock, but what about soaking in the rainwater? 30 minutes later, an alert tone echoed in Zhang Heng's mind. Genetic unlock progress. 1. He raised an eyebrow slightly. In just half an hour, he had increased his genetic unlock progress by 1 point. Moreover, the condition of the rainwater seemed stable, as if the viruses within were still capable of replication. At that moment, an idea struck Zhang Heng. He quickly called the 4 zombies over. You 4 should soak in the rainwater as well. The zombies nodded and gradually made their way to the bathtub, one by one submerging themselves in the water. If his zombies evolved, their physical attributes would enhance, continuously providing him with attribute points. After changing into a fresh set of clothes, Zhang Heng exited the flying bunker. It seemed that upon hearing the door open, Yang Nan also stepped out. However, Yang Nan donned a hood and also put on a pair of sunglasses. Zhang Heng, perplexed, inquired, Yang Nan, why are you wrapping yourself up so tightly? Yang Nan replied, I fear we may encounter misunderstandings like before and cause you trouble. Zhang Heng, with a wry smile, responded, in that case, I can handle them myself. You could come to my aid during a fight. Upon hearing this, Yang Nan nodded, that could work. Have we arrived in Yintai? Zhang Heng approached the window to glance outside, then nodded, yes, we have arrived. I can see the ruins below. However, there seems to be no sign of human activity, only an abundance of zombies. The flying bunker descended slowly, landing on the ground. Zhang Heng exited the bunker and surveyed his surroundings, which were enveloped in eerie silence. Even from the air, he had not seen any signs of survivors. The buildings were overrun with weeds, almost completely concealing the city. Various forms of zombies roamed nearby, slowly advancing toward Zhang Heng's location, emitting grotesque growls. Ordinary zombies truly are ignorant and fearless. Suddenly, a whirlwind of gravel erupted beneath Zhang Heng's feet, forming a tempest of yellow sand that surged outward. The approaching zombies were all thwarted, caught up in the swirling sands. Yang Nan, puzzled, remarked, this city seems devoid of any traces of human survivors. Could it be that all the survivors here have perished? Zhang Heng shook his head. I don't know. For now, let's explore. With a leap, Zhang Heng took to the air, and Yang Nan spread her wings to swiftly follow him through the town. Titans and bone demons would likely not waste their time in a city without humans. If there were no humans here, then there would be no titans or bone demons. The current titans and bone demons had long since matured. Suddenly, Yang Nan pointed ahead at a large building, exclaiming, Zhang Heng, what is that? Following her finger, Zhang Heng noticed a figure in the building ahead. The individual seemed to have spotted them as well. Zhang Heng hastily accelerated his pace toward the figure. The person quickly opened a window, shock evident on their face as they gazed at Zhang Heng and Yang Nan. You are survivors from another city? Zhang Heng, observing the emaciated figure before him, was taken aback. How did you become so starved? The individual appeared to be in their 30s. Yet they looked as though they were in their 60s due to prolonged malnutrition, their body reduced to little more than skin and bones, resembling a skeleton. The survivor couldn't help but chuckle. There's nothing to eat. The wild beasts in the mountains have also been infected and are inedible. The supplies in the city have been exhausted. There was a cannibalistic riot here, and everyone perished in that chaos. Some managed to flee. I hid away, but I too am nearing death. By the way, from where did you come? Observing your appearance, it seems you do not struggle with hunger, which makes me envious. Yang Nan gazed at the emaciated survivor before her. Her heart stirred with empathy. Zhang Heng silently opened his spatial backpack and retrieved water and canned food. The other party looked at the provisions on the ground, astonished. A spatial ability user? Such fresh food. Is this for me? Zhang Heng nodded. Please, eat first. I have some questions to ask you afterward. All right, I will eat. I'm eating right now. The survivor said eagerly as he began to consume the food. By the way, my name is Wahan. What about you? Zhang Heng. And she's Yang Nan. Zhang Heng, Yang Nan, thank you so much. I am truly grateful. Zwahan exclaimed, shoveling food into his mouth. Chapter 267, The Capital. It has been nearly a year since the outbreak of the zombie virus, hasn't it? In this span of time, the world has shed its civilized veneer, transforming into a savage and lawless wasteland. In the city of Yantai, even in the absence of zombies, the survivors have been utterly overwhelmed by the despair of starvation. Zhang Heng observes Zwahan, who was devouring his food ravenously, and inquired, Zwahan, are there any other survivors in this city besides you? Zwahan nodded, then shook his head. I'm not quite sure. I have been hiding here, never venturing out, but there should be other survivors. If not, they must have departed for other cities. Yang Nan then asked, so, there have been no sightings of titans or bone demons here. Wiping his mouth, Zwahan looked at Yang Nan. Titans and bone demons? What are those? The two exchanged glances, concluding that such creatures were likely absent. At that moment, Zhang Heng retrieved some supplies and a travel bag from his spatial backpack and tossed them onto the ground. If you follow the highway south, you will reach Wenhan, where a group of survivors resides. Tell them Zhang Heng sent you. I believe they will take care of you. Zwahan gazed at the ample supplies. So much food. This will last me for a while, but I'm not inclined to go to another city. I've made my peace. I'll take life one day at a time. If that day comes when I die, it will be a form of release. One it? If you're worried about wasting food, please take it back. It doesn't matter to me, haha. Zhang Heng's expression shifted slightly. Has he truly lost the will to survive? Yet, Zwahan did not seem like one who had come to terms with life and death. At a loss for words, Zhang Heng refrained from reclaiming the food and instead suggested, Zwahan, why not accompany me to the next city? Zwahan, puzzled, asked, to the next city? What exactly are you doing? Distributing supplies to various cities? Are you government officials? Shaking his head, Zhang Heng replied, we are not government officials. The government has long since fallen. We are individuals who have taken it upon ourselves to provide assistance. However, if you prefer to stay, I won't force you. Zwahan waved his hand dismissively. Let it be. Just look at me. Neither human nor ghost. Sometimes I frighten myself when I look in the mirror. If others were to see me, they would fear me, and that would only deepen my discomfort. I wish to avoid that feeling. It's better for me to remain here alone. After all, everyone I knew is gone. My existence in this world holds little meaning. But I support you. I wholeheartedly support what you are doing. There must be many others who wish to live, and I believe you can indeed change this world together. A glimmer of determination shone in Zwahan's eyes, signaling that he was not merely speaking empty words, but genuinely believed in their cause. Ultimately, Zhang Heng and Yang Nan departed from Yantai. As they looked down from the window of their flying bunker, they could still see Zwahan waving goodbye to them. Zhang Heng and Yang Nan remained enveloped in silence. Eventually, Yang Nan spoke. Zhang Heng, I will return to my room now. Call for me when we reach the next city. Zhang Heng nodded in agreement. Sure, no problem. After Yang Nan departed, Zhang Heng found himself alone at the control panel. The loss of will to survive exhibited by those like Luo Han was profoundly disheartening for both Yang Nan and Zhang Heng. As they ventured forth with hope to rescue humanity, they were confronted with the stark reality that those they sought to save had seemingly relinquished their desire to live. Such a sentiment weighed heavily on their spirits. Perhaps Yang Nan felt similarly, yet they had no choice but to persist in their mission. Even if some had lost the will to live, it was merely due to their inability to perceive hope or motivation for existence. Who among them had not suffered the loss of loved ones? Everyone shared the same plight, contingent upon one's perspective towards the future. The next destination was Yongfeng. However, it too lay in eerie silence, devoid of any signs of survivors. As they traversed to the rooftops near the coast, the sense of despair deepened with each passing city in Jiangsu and Zhejiang. After visiting 4 or 5 cities without encountering any survivors, Zhang Heng pondered whether they had sought refuge elsewhere or, tragically, had perished. The atmosphere within the flying bunker grew increasingly suffocating. Observing Zhang Heng's pallid countenance, Yang Nin speculated, perhaps they have relocated to another city? This place lacks resources. Surely they wouldn't starve here? Zhang Heng then turned his gaze to the map on the control panel, focusing on the last city in Jiangsu and Zhejiang, Mingdu. This was the final city he had not yet explored, and he harbored hopes for a change. After an hour of flight, Zhang Heng arrived over Mingdu. To his astonishment, the city appeared remarkably well-preserved, bustling with survivors and exuding vitality. Yang Nin beamed at Zhang Heng, exclaiming, "See, I told you. The survivors from other cities must have heard the news and flocked to Mingdu. There are thousands of them." Zhang Heng nodded. "Indeed, thousands. I believe I can see ranches and farms. They are cultivating crops within the city, and the scale is impressive." The expanse was indeed vast. A sweeping glance revealed golden rice that seemed ready for harvest, alongside several pig farms. Everyone was engaged in their tasks with remarkable orderliness. The individual overseeing this city was undoubtedly a formidable leader. Furthermore, not a single zombie was in sight around the periphery of Mingdu. The flying bunker descended gently. A group of individuals rushed toward it. An alien spacecraft. Could it be extraterrestrials? If aliens truly appeared, I wouldn't be surprised. The door opened. The aliens were about to emerge. At that moment, Zhang Heng stepped out of the flying bunker, greeted by a throng of eager onlookers. Zhang Heng inquired, urging calm, for he too was an evolved being, just like them. However, before he could finish his statement, he suddenly froze. The individuals surrounding him. No, they were not human at all. They were titans. They were bone fiends. They were zombies. This was a city of the undead, so they were evolved beings indeed. Evolved beings. Seize them. Seize them. Zhang Heng concealed his hands behind his back, signaling Yang Nan to remain composed, hoping the other party would comprehend. At that moment, a fifth-stage zombie emerged from the horde, scrutinizing Zhang Heng with keen interest, mistakenly assuming him to be an evolved survivor from a neighboring city. "You have ventured into the wrong place. This is the domain of the undead. However, since you have arrived, you shan't leave. Seize him." Chapter 268. Resist. Zhang Heng did not resist. Instead, he was escorted by several individuals towards the capital city. He intended to first gather information before attempting an internal breakthrough. With such a multitude of zombies congregated here, it was likely that the city's evolved beings had already become mere fodder. They might be confined in some obscure corner of the capital. It was imperative to ascertain this information before devising a plan to deal with them. Upon entering the capital, Zhang Heng observed that the majority of zombies present were titans, with those weaker than titans scarcely in sight. It appeared that this place did not accommodate just any kind of zombie. Those beneath the titan rank seemed to lack even the qualification to enter the capital. Another one seeking death? He looks rather appetizing, haha. So young. He must taste delightful, haha. Zhang Heng was scrutinized like merchandise by the surrounding titans as he continued onward. Some titans disregarded him entirely, seemingly accustomed to the spectacle. With so many titans around, one could only wonder how many evolved beings they consumed in a day. It seemed he had come to the right place. After an indeterminate amount of time, Zhang Heng found himself confined in the underground parking garage of a large building. The parking area comprised 2 levels and was equipped with restrooms, serving perfectly as a dungeon for imprisoning these evolved beings. He was unceremoniously pushed into the garage, seemingly without any shackles. Clearly, they were not concerned about the possibility of rebellion. At that moment, a middle-aged man approached, lifting Zhang Heng's shirt slightly and inquiring, "New here?" Zhang Heng could not help but chuckle. "Indeed, I am new. How may I assist you?" The man's gaze turned icy. "What are you laughing at? Do you think I jest?" Zhang Heng surveyed his surroundings, estimating around 100 individuals present, with another level below that likely housing a similar number. Are you all evolved beings of the capital? With so many of you, why do you not attempt to resist? A nearby rotund man laughed. Indeed, a newcomer. It seems you are utterly ignorant of our circumstances. Not to mention the hundreds of Titan zombies. There are 34 bone demons, led by a fifth form zombie. We cannot even match their numbers, let alone defeat them. Since you are here, you might as well wait for death. Fortunately, they do not devour us all at once. And they even provide us with food, albeit just one meal a day. They hold our lives in their hands. So, there are indeed fifth form zombies here. Perhaps the reason these individuals do not resist is that they do not wish to be the first evolved being slain by a fifth form zombie. If they remain in the dungeon, they might survive a few more days. What is the point of living like this? Zhang Heng asked. The middle-aged man replied, have you ever been to a cattle ranch? Next to it lies a slaughterhouse. But do you see the cattle revolting? Or committing suicide? Comparing themselves to cattle was a stark realization for Zhang Heng. He felt that these people were beyond saving. He walked towards a corner, contemplating his next move. A middle-aged man followed closely behind. As you witnessed, upon your arrival, they did not impose any restraints upon you, nor did they even bother to search your person. They exhibited no concern regarding your potential methods of contacting the outside world for rescue. In fact, they seemed to encourage such endeavors, as it would allow them to capture more evolved beings. In the face of overwhelming power, we found ourselves utterly powerless to resist. Zhang Heng nodded, acknowledging his naivety, and requested a moment of silence. The middle-aged man sneered, a moment of silence? Do you fancy yourself some sort of young master? Disrobe and hand your clothing over to me. Zhang Heng's expression shifted slightly as he glanced at the man, who was clad in tattered garments, while he himself was impeccably dressed. The audacity to demand his clothing. Zhang Heng could not suppress a laugh. You consider yourself superior. Yet what difference does it make to you whether you wear clothes or not? The middle-aged man retorted disdainfully, though I may be a beast, there exists a hierarchy even among beasts. You are but a lowly creature, while I am of a middling class. Zhang Heng rose to his feet and inquired, may I have the pleasure of knowing who the esteemed upper-class beasts are? I am curious. Instantly, the middle-aged man's countenance darkened. To hell with you. He launched a punch towards Zhang Heng. In response, Zhang Heng delivered a powerful kick to the man's chest, sending him hurtling backwards. At that moment, everyone turned to gaze at Zhang Heng. He proclaimed, listen closely, everyone present. I have come to rescue you. I will dismantle this place, and you must flee at once. If you encounter bone demons or fifth-stage zombies, I shall devise a means to hinder them. Your only task is to escape as far as possible without looking back. As soon as he finished speaking, Zhang Heng summoned 4 zombie servants. Upon their appearance, they promptly obeyed his command and charged towards the parking lot entrance. Zhang Heng turned to the others. What are you waiting for? Follow me. Yet, inexplicably, everyone remained rooted to the spot, motionless. Zhang Heng questioned, what is the matter? Are you reluctant to leave? Did they not wish to escape this place? Silence reigned as they stared at him in shock. Realizing he could not rouse them in that moment, he decided to waste no further time. The 4 zombie servants had already surged forth, and he needed to assist them. Rebellion! Rebellion! The Titan guard at the entrance bellowed, triggering alarms throughout the skies of the entire city. Zhang Heng unleashed the sand demon, which swiftly enveloped his feet in a swirling sea of yellow sand, rushing towards the parking lot entrance. He turned to the onlookers and declared, if you do not intend to run, then remain where you are. The yellow sand effectively sealed off the underground parking lot entrance. At this juncture, everyone finally stood up. Who is he? What does he intend to do? He nearly led us to our doom. Do not act recklessly, or we shall all perish. If you wish to court death, do not drag us down with you. Zhang Heng burst forth from the underground parking structure, accompanied by his 4 undead minions, confronting the Titans outside. Except for the number 3 crawling zombie, the other 3 dispatched the Titan zombies with the ease of mowing grass. In an instant, numerous Titans fell victim to the onslaught. To avoid causing destruction to the city, the Titan zombies refrained from transforming recklessly. Zhang Heng skillfully manipulated the yellow sand, restricting the Titans' movements and launching covert attacks that proved consistently effective. Meanwhile, from a lofty vantage point within a building of the Mingdu complex, the fifth form zombie, Jiang Yin, who commanded such a multitude of undead, observed Zhang Hung below with an expression of indifference. Send 2 bone demons to deal with that wild dog, he commanded. Yes. Chapter 269, The Elimination Round. Do you understand? Zhang Hung unleashed a powerful punch, shattering the skull of a titan. The fragmented remnants scattered across the ground, leaving behind a most unsightly mark. The titans, who had initially charged forward, were instantly paralyzed with fear at the sight, gasping in astonishment. What kind of strength is this? A monster. He is a monster. We're the bone demon leaders. Where's our boss? Hurry out. We can't hold on much longer. At this moment, Zhang Hung sat atop a small dune formed of yellow sand, a faint smile gracing his face. Come now, let me witness the prowess of the fifth form zombies. Suddenly, 2 figures descended from the sky, 2 bone demons. These bone demons appear to be in their 40s, their eyes cold and piercing. They tore off their garments, revealing thick armored plates beneath, their skeletal armor fully deployed from head to toe. What audacity from those hyenas! Do they not know where they are? Such boldness should be met with a lesson. Zhang Hung grinned. Old 4 handle them. The 4th zombie stepped forward, gazing up at the 2 bone demons. Only then did the bone demons realize that standing before them was also a bone demon. Why does a bone demon ally with human evolvers? Are you not a zombie? Why are you with humans? The 4th zombie replied calmly. The human you refer to is my master. No sooner had he spoken than his arms transformed into 2 bone blades, charging toward one of the bone demons. The 3 bone demons immediately huddled together. Zhang Hung, reclining with his legs crossed, glanced at the rooftop above. Suddenly, his brow furrowed slightly. He leaped into the air, dashing toward the building. Bang! The glass shattered into countless pieces. Brushing the shard from his body, he looked up at the white-haired man before him, the fifth form zombie. It appears they spoke the truth. There indeed exists a fifth form zombie here, and you lead these zombies, treating humanity as mere fodder? Jiang Yin regarded Zhang Hung with indifference. For Jiang Yin, no evolver had yet emerged capable of being his rival. The flamboyant demeanor of Zhang Hung merely struck him as that of a buffoon. Faced with such a jester, he had no inclination to even engage. Yet unexpectedly, the other party had approached him directly. Jiang Yin remained silent, merely observing him. Behind Jiang Yin, a multitude of bone demons gathered, evidently rallying around their leader. The glass lay shattered. What can be done? Perhaps they could find something to seal it? They would have to change offices. Their concern seemed far removed from the sudden intrusion of Zhang Hung, fixating instead on where their boss would continue his work. What disdain for others! Zhang Hung suddenly burst into laughter. Do you truly think so little of me? You may eventually come to regret this. At that moment, a female bone demon approached, addressing the young man. Since you are aware that the formidable figure before you is a fifth-stage zombie, do you still dare to behave so audaciously in his presence? Among us, any one of us could easily dispose of you. Do you comprehend? Zhang Hung replied. You are no longer human. You are bone demons, zombies, mere crystallizations that can enhance my strength in my eyes. You claim that any one of your kind can vanquish me? Then the bone demons I previously dispatched must have met an unjust fate. Upon hearing this, all the bone demons widened their eyes in astonishment. If this young man was not boasting, it implied that he had indeed slain many bone demons. Jiang Yin suddenly chuckled, realizing that he was an evolved being specifically hunting bone demons. How many of you are there? He inquired. At present, it is just me and another fifth-stage zombie akin to you. As they spoke, a figure suddenly flew in from behind Zhang Hung. It was none other than Yang Nan. Approaching Zhang Hung, Yang Nan assured, your flying fortress remains intact, so do not worry. Zhang Hung could not help but smile. When did you learn to control it? Yang Nan explained, your flying fortress can be voice-activated or operated from the control panel. Moreover, regardless of any special permissions set up, I can certainly operate it. Do you wish for your flying fortress to be discovered by them? Zhang Hung smiled slightly. Well done. However, let us first deal with this swarm of pests. Upon seeing Yang Nan beside Zhang Hung, everyone was taken aback, their eyes wide with shock. A fifth-stage zombie, just like the boss. How is this possible? Why is a fifth-stage zombie with a human-evolved being? The scene below fell silent. Yang then remarked, "My apologies," while passing by. I took the liberty of resolving the zombies below. Continuing, he turned to Zhang Heng. "Your corpse servant is currently extracting the crystals from their brains." Zhang Heng nodded in satisfaction. "So, our next step is merely to eliminate them?" "Precisely." At that moment, a bone demon rushed to the window and peered down. The sight that greeted him left him utterly astonished and unsettled. There lay the zombies, reduced to mere fragments, with a crawler feasting upon the remains, while 3 titans were excavating the crystals from the zombies' brains. Damn, hundreds of titans, and 2 bone demons. How could this happen so quickly? Have they been annihilated? Is this the power of a 5th-stage zombie? Power akin to boss? Jiang Yin furrowed his brow upon spotting Yang Nan, questioning. "I wish to know why you collaborate with humans." "Humans are the enemies of zombies, their sustenance." Yang Nan smiled slightly. "Perhaps that is true for you, but for me, humans are my friends. I was once human myself, and do not regard them as mere food simply because I have become a zombie. Do you not find that repugnant?" Jiang Yin scoffed, "Disgusting? Clearly, you have never tasted an evolver. If you had, you would yearn to crush their bones. Moreover, the evolver serves as our energy for evolution. Do you not comprehend the reason behind the existence of both zombies and humans in this world? It is a survival of the fittest." Zhang Heng raised an eyebrow slightly. This was not the first time he had encountered such information from the lips of a zombie. It seemed that the undead had reached a certain understanding among themselves, united in their intent to eradicate humanity and become the rulers of this world. Yang Nan sighed with a wry smile. "If that is indeed the case, then in future encounters with zombies, I shall have no choice but to eliminate them, rather than first inquiring whether they wish to be transformed back into humans." Chapter 270. Confrontation with the 5th-stage zombie. Jiang Yan's expression shifted subtly. "You can transform zombies back into humans? That ability is indeed astonishing." Yang then inquired, "What about your ability?" With a grin, Jiang Yan replied, "My ability? I possess none." Yang then regarded him skeptically. "You possess no ability? Given that you have evolved into the 5th stage, it is only natural that you would awaken some form of power." Jiang Yin shook his head. "I do not know what you are referring to. However, I have not awakened any special abilities." Stealing a glance at Zhang Heng, Yang Nan was met with a faint smile from him. "Whether you possess any special abilities will soon be revealed." The atmosphere in the arena grew tense. Jiang Yin coldly declared, "You handle this evolved one. I shall confront the woman." After saying this, he turned to Yang Nan. "Let us as 5th-stage zombies engage in a one-on-one duel." Yang Nan snorted disdainfully, stepping back as his bone knife unfolded and shot forward. Jiang Yin began to stride toward Zhang Heng. Once beside him, he cautioned, "Do not let them tear you apart." Zhang Heng grinned, "I will come and find you shortly." As he spoke, an aura of spiritual energy radiated from Zhang Heng, and an ice spike materialized in his hand. Jiang Yin observed the ice spike, which was imbued with a terrifyingly potent spiritual energy. He furrowed his brow but hesitated not, directly pursuing Yang Nan. This fellow appears to be formidable as well. Otherwise, they would not dare to seek trouble here. I must swiftly deal with Yang Nan and then return to handle this one. As Jiang Yin departed, only Zhang Heng and over 30 bone demons remained within the building. Zhang Heng surveyed the multitude of bone demons before him. "You must have gathered from various cities, saving me the trouble of searching for you." The bone demon scoffed. "Such arrogance. A mere spit from each of us could drown you. Do you understand?" Zhang Heng chuckled lightly. "Apologies, but I truly lack the time to entertain you. Yang Nan and your leader are both 5th-stage zombies. Their battle will undoubtedly be fierce. My presence may lighten her burden." No sooner had he spoken than Zhang Heng took flight, casually throwing the ice spike to the ground. Upon impact, the ice spike shattered, unleashing an overwhelming chill. The terrifying cold instantly swept through the arena. The bone demons widened their eyes in shock, retreating, yet their feet were ensnared by the icy winds. The cold rapidly enveloped their entire bodies, spreading throughout the building. In the blink of an eye, all the bone demons had been transformed into ice sculptures. Though their eyes still moved, their bodies were frozen, rendering them immobile, and death approached silently. At that moment, Zhang Heng had already soared out of the building. Catching up to Jiang Yin, I mentioned I would find you shortly. Jiang Yin was taken aback and hurriedly turned around to confirm. To his astonishment, his building appeared to be encased in a layer of ice, frozen solid. With disbelief etched across his face, Jiang Yin gazed at Zhang Heng and inquired, "What have you done?" Zhang Heng brushed past Jiang Yin and approached Yang Nan, casually responding, "I merely dispatched them. A rather ordinary occurrence, if you ask me." "What is the matter?" Jiang Yan's countenance darkened, resembling a piece of charred coal as he scrutinized the youth before him. Perhaps he was the most formidable adversary? Was Yang Nan beside him even stronger? For reasons unknown, an unprecedented sense of dread suddenly surged within Jiang Yan. Yang Nan flashed a smile. "It seems you're facing a 2-on-1 situation." Jiang Yan's brow furrowed, fists clenched tightly. "A 2-on-1 it is. I have slain numerous powerful evolved beings, and your fate shall mirror theirs." No sooner had he spoken, Jiang Yan lunged at Zhang Heng, intent on eliminating him first. Zhang Heng deftly sidestepped Jiang Yan's punch. Yet, unexpectedly, a bone blade emerged from behind Jiang Yan, striking swiftly toward Zhang Heng's abdomen. Bang! Another bone blade protruded from Zhang Heng's rear, colliding with Jiang Yan's, causing the three to scatter instantly. Zhang Heng and Yang Nan dashed in opposite directions, while Jiang Yan remained vigilant, fully alert to his surroundings. It was indeed not so easily accomplished. The woman named Yang Nan reacted with remarkable speed. Though the human evolutionary being had not engaged Yang Nan moments ago, he still managed to evade the attack of his bone blade. Most evolved beings would have perished by now, yet he had managed to respond. Zhang Heng's energy surged, and he slammed his hands down onto the ground. Demon of sand. Instantly, the earth began to tremble, and the concrete floor transformed into a vast ocean of yellow sand. Yang Nan sprinted across the surface, deftly avoiding the encroaching sands. However, Jiang Yan was ensnared. The sands did not evade him and relentlessly lashed out with countless waves of sand. As Jiang Yan dodged the assaults of the grains, he remained cautious of his footing. If he faltered, the sand would ensnare his ankles. Yang Nan vanished without a trace, prompting Jiang Yan to widen his eyes in search of her presence. Yet, towering waves of sand began to rise from all directions, surging toward him. Jiang Yan soon realized that Yang Nan had not truly disappeared. Instead, she was stealthily approaching from behind the waves. She was coming. Jiang Yan struck a wave with a powerful punch. Boom! The wave shattered, revealing Yang Nan behind it. With a chilling gaze, Yang Nan looked at him as four bone blades coalesced into a spiraling, conical blade, launching toward Jiang Yan like a volley of cannon fire. Jiang Yan hastily commanded his four bone blades to counter the assault. Yet, this hastily gathered force was far from sufficient to withstand Yang Nan's onslaught. His four blades were instantly repelled. Bang! The spiral blade pierced Jiang Yan's mouth, leaving him in dire straits. A terrifying wound was left directly on Jiang Yan's chest. However, the injury healed almost instantaneously. In this moment of distraction, the gravel on the ground had already ensnared Jiang Yan's legs. He attempted to soar into the air by wielding the four bone knives at his waist, but the yellow sand clung tenaciously to his ankles, rendering him unable to take flight. Damn it! Jiang Yan cursed inwardly. Zhang Heng grinned widely, raising his right hand abruptly. From the yellow sand surged a colossal whale formed entirely of the grains. The massive creature descended from the sky, crashing heavily upon Jiang Yan. Unfazed by the sand beneath him, Jiang Yan's four bone knives elongated instantaneously, thrusting towards the whale. The knives spiraled open, carving a vast pit into the whale's body. With a fierce outward thrust, the yellow sand whale was instantly torn apart. Rain of yellow sand began to pour from the heavens. Chapter 271. Unlocking the fifth gene lock. Zhang Heng's expression shifted slightly. He was indeed formidable. Jiang Yan's shirt had been torn asunder, revealing a chest that glimmered with a golden light. That was the location of Jiang Yan's heart. He glanced down at his chest, realizing that Yang Nan's earlier strike had aimed directly at his heart. Fortunately, he had managed to deflect the attack slightly with his bone knife. As a fifth-tier zombie, the opponent was evidently aware of the vulnerabilities inherent to his form. Zhang Heng's abilities were exceedingly troublesome, although they did not inflict tangible damage. They compelled him to remain vigilant. An evolved individual with dual powers? Indeed, a challenging adversary. If only the incompetent fools around him possessed even a modicum of usefulness, he might find himself in a less precarious position. With a cold chuckle, Jiang Yin taunted, "Is this all you are capable of?" Zhang Heng merely smiled, responding, "This was merely a warm-up. Now, let's engage seriously." As he spoke, a chilling weapon materialized in Zhang Heng's grasp. The opponent's body could rapidly regenerate. His fists posed no real threat, as they would heal almost instantaneously. Thus, he had no choice but to resort to weaponry. Yang Nan, behind him, swiftly unleashed 4 bone knives, which danced through the air like ethereal serpents. Jiang Yin snorted disdainfully, his own 4 blood-red bone knives entering an offensive stance. Yang Nan cautioned, "Be wary of his bone knives. They are both supple and razor-sharp." Zhang Heng nodded in acknowledgement, setting aside the potency of the bone knives. He fortified himself with an ice shield. The ability of yellow sand clearly posed little threat to Jiang Yin. He had initially intended to assist Yang Nan in eliminating Jiang Yin, but it was evident that the latter was not easily vanquished. Thus, they would have to unleash their full might and confront him together. In an instant, 3 silhouettes flickered. Bang! A terrifying, muffled sound resonated from the intersection of the 2 phantoms. Zhang Heng wielded his weapon, cleaving through the bone knives that threatened him. Meanwhile, Yang Nan crossed her arms and elevated her stance with her dual blades resting on the ground, while the remaining 2 bone knives launched a simultaneous assault against Jiang Yan's bone knives. Both parties maintained a calculated distance, knowing that to inflict harm upon one another, they first needed to breach the defenses of the opponent's bone knives. Clang, clang, clang. After exchanging over 100 strikes, Jiang Yin suddenly perceived that his bone knives had become increasingly difficult to control. Out of the corner of his eye, he noticed that his 4 bone knives had, unbeknownst to him, been encased in frost. No wonder he felt a waning connection with them. This fellow's ice blade was indeed peculiar. In that fleeting moment of distraction, Zhang Heng seized the opportunity, propelling himself forcefully toward Jiang Yan. Jiang Yan's eyes widened in astonishment. This fellow truly knew how to capitalize on a moment. The 4 bone knives were instantly retracted, darting toward Zhang Heng with electrifying speed. With a swift thrust, the bone knives easily pierced through the ice shield but emerged from its rear. Zhang Heng deftly countered the assault of the 4 bone knives, gripping his ice blade firmly, and suddenly accelerated mid-attack. Whoosh! A terrifying sonic boom seemed to reverberate through the air. Zhang Heng's bone knife pierced through Jiang Yan's golden heart in an instant. Emerging from the other side of his back, the icy blade was stained with golden blood, which was swiftly frozen by the blade itself. Jiang Yan gasped in shock, his eyes widening in disbelief, unable to comprehend the sight before him. Was he truly dying? Zhang Heng relinquished the icy blade and hastily retreated several steps. Just as he leaped back, 4 bone knives suddenly plunged into the space he had occupied moments before. Fortunately, his quick reflexes saved him. Had he lingered, those 4 knives would have impaled him. The icy blade embedded in Jiang Yan's heart was now unleashing a terrifying chill within his body. Jiang Yan raised his stiff arm, attempting to extract the icy blade from his heart. But just as his hand approached the blade, his body began to freeze rapidly. Congratulations, host, for slaying the 5th form zombie. You have earned 1,000,000 points. A faint smile graced Zhang Heng's lips. The system had even rewarded him for the death of the foe. It seemed Jiang Yin was indeed dead. Yang Nan also wore a smile, exclaiming, "Well done, Zhang Heng." Zhang Heng replied with a slight grin, "It was our excellent cooperation. Otherwise, I would not have been able to defeat him. Truly, the 5th form zombie is formidable." Zhang Heng approached Jiang Yin, tapping his head lightly. In an instant, Jiang Yan's skull shattered, revealing a white crystal in Zhang Heng's hand. Was this the crystallization of the 5th form zombie? Upon absorbing it, he would unlock the 5th genetic seal. At that moment, the undead minions began to rush toward him. Lao Si wrapped all the crystals in a piece of clothing and approached Zhang Heng. Zhang Heng accepted the crystals, remarking, "Well done. Lao Si glanced at the frozen statue of the fifth form zombie, realizing that it too had perished at his hands. It seemed he should be grateful that Zhang Heng had turned him into an undead minion. Otherwise, he would have met his demise long ago. Detected a large number of crystals possessed by the host. Do you wish to devour them? Without hesitation, Zhang Heng replied, devour. Devouring complete. Host genetic unlock progress. 44. Congratulations, host, for unlocking the fifth genetic seal. At this moment, traces of the fifth genetic seal have appeared within the bodies of all evolutionary beings worldwide. Congratulations, host, for obtaining a chance to acquire a random ability. Do you wish to use it? Zhang Heng's body began to undergo remarkable transformations. Yang Nin inquired curiously. Zhang Heng, what's happening to you? Upon unlocking the fifth genetic seal, Zhang Heng's personal abilities experienced a significant enhancement. He gazed at Yang Nan, contemplating whether to make her his fifth undead minion. One thing was certain, Yang Nan would never betray him or harm humanity. Perhaps it would be wise to keep her by his side as an ally. The next time he encountered a fifth form zombie, he could directly turn it into an undead minion. I am untroubled. I shall first proceed to the underground parking lot to ascertain the well-being of those survivors. Yang Nan exhaled deeply, observing the sudden shift in your complexion, and thought you might have sustained an injury. It is a relief that you are unharmed. I shall take my leave now. Indeed, I shall join you shortly. After Yang Nan departed, Zhang Heng accessed his personal information. Host, Zhang Heng abilities. Core of Iceword manifest as Law Demon of Sand Strength, 5,121 Speed, 5,087 Mentality, 5,086 Gene, Level 50 Skills. Self-Healing Level 1 Mastery of Long Blades, Level 1 Close Combat, Level 5 Mastery of Repeating Crossbows, Level 1 Ice Shield, Level 5 Ice Spike, Level 1 Frost Domain, Level 1 Jet Propulsion, Level 1 Multiple Control, Level 5 Extreme Cold, current Level 1 points. 224, 512 for all three metrics have increased by approximately 1,000 points. The enhancement is remarkably significant. Would you like to randomly acquire a new ability? The system appeared somewhat impatient. Zhang Heng chuckled, let it be random. Chapter 272, Holy Light. Zhang Heng's expression shifted slightly, pondering the nature of the ability known as Holy Light. Holy Light, capable of healing all ailments, capable of dispelling all evil. The explanation for the ability was succinct, yet it encompassed everything. A healing capability? It could also banish malevolence. He wondered if zombies could be considered evil. He had been troubled by his lack of healing abilities, often needing to seek out Su Ling, which was rather inconvenient. Now, fortuitously, he possessed the power to heal, making future rescues significantly easier. Zhang Heng smiled knowingly, summoning all his corpse servants back to him, instructing them to continue absorbing the virus from the rainwater tank. He then set off towards the capital city. At this moment, the human evolvers in the underground parking lot of the city had already emerged to the surface. Gazing at the long-awaited sun and the multitude of zombie corpses strewn across the ground, everyone felt as if they were in a dream. Zhang Heng suddenly spotted Yang Nan hiding in a corner, refraining from venturing out. He approached her, asking, Yang Nan, what is the matter? Why are you hiding here? Yang Nan glanced at Zhang Heng and replied, they probably have not yet recovered from the terror instilled by the fifth-stage zombies. If I were to appear before them, I would likely frighten them. Zhang Heng couldn't help but chuckle. Yang Nan, you are truly gentle. Why don't you wait for me in the flying bunker? Once I ensure their safety, I will come find you. Yang Nan nodded. Yes, that is what I was thinking, so I will wait for you here. I'll head over now. All right. Yang Nan carefully made her way through the obstacles, seemingly concerned about being seen by the others. This woman was not only kind, but also incredibly thoughtful, a rare quality. What was even more remarkable was that she was dealing with a fifth-stage zombie. Had she been malevolent, their initial encounter could have led to a fierce battle, and he might have even perished at her hands. After all, he was utterly unaware of the weaknesses of the fifth-stage zombies, making a confrontation rather perilous. Initially, he had planned to transform Yang Nan into one of his corpse servants upon unlocking the fifth genetic lock. Yet observing the situation with Lao Si, while he was indeed a bone demon, once transformed into a servant, he seemed to lose all of his intimidating presence. After some contemplation, Zhang Heng decided against it. At that moment, he stepped into the view of the gathered crowd. Congratulations! You are free. Only then did everyone react, converging towards Zhang Heng. Did you save us? Did you kill all the zombies? Is the fifth stage zombie dead? How did you manage that? Are we safe now? Some voices were filled with disbelief, while others were choked with tears. The emotions of the crowd were overwhelmingly intense. Zhang Heng addressed them, saying, I have dealt with the zombies this time, but there may still be others that arise. From now on, you must protect yourselves, understood? Thank you. You have transformed us from livestock back into human beings. We are eternally grateful. Are you leaving? Will you not stay to protect us? Zhang Heng furrowed his brow slightly. I have said it before. I will not protect you for eternity. I will assist you in addressing this immediate threat of zombies, but thereafter, you must learn to safeguard yourselves. I have other places to attend to resolve the plight of other evolved beings who may be similarly ensnared by the undead. I observe that you have resources and crops here. You should be able to recover swiftly. May I inquire your name? At the very least, let us know who it is that has rescued us. Someone suddenly called out. Zhang Heng replied, I am Zhang Heng, hailing from Jiangnan City. With that, he turned and departed from the city. In the distance, he spotted the flying fortress not far ahead. With a gentle leap, he arrived at the entrance of the flying fortress. As the door opened, Zhang Heng stepped inside. Yang Nan, watching his return, smiled slightly. Did they express their gratitude to you? Zhang Heng nodded. Of course they did. It is a pity you were not present. You too should have received their thanks. It is that moment of gratitude after saving them that fuels our continued efforts. Yang Nan smiled faintly. I am not particularly concerned with whether they thank me. However, we may soon encounter more fifth-stage zombies, and I wonder how long we can sustain our fight. At this, Zhang Heng reassured him, Do not worry, Yang Nan. I will grow ever stronger, powerful enough to vanquish even fifth-stage zombies with ease. I shall also save this world. I am confident that I can achieve it. Yang Nan observed the confidence radiating from Zhang Heng's eyes and sensed a notable increase in his muscle density, a stark enhancement in strength. Could it be that this fellow grows stronger with each formidable adversary he faces? Such a mechanism is truly terrifying. Zhang Heng approached the control panel, commanding the flying fortress to soar through the sky and reopen the live stream. The viewership surged to over 1,000 in an instant, with numbers climbing by the second. You're live streaming again? Do you have any good news to share with us? I heard that you recently helped a city vanquish a horde of man-eaters. Who would have thought there are still humans consuming evolved beings? This world is growing increasingly chaotic. Knowing you are still alive brings me peace. I hope you can rescue more humanity and slay more zombies. Zhang Heng glanced at the barrage of comments in the livestream chat, smiled lightly, and said, I am currently in Jiangsu in Zhejiang. If there are friends in this region who require assistance, please message me privately, and I will arrive promptly. I am also in Jiangsu in Zhejiang in Xuanzhou. Zhang Heng, could you visit Xuanzhou? We have people disappearing daily, and I suspect there are zombies lurking around our city, even though we have clearly eradicated the zombies in our vicinity. Zhang Heng's attention was immediately drawn to one particular comment. This friend from Xuanzhou. Are people mysteriously vanishing in your area? Indeed, several have disappeared, yet we have not detected any zombies. It could also be man-eaters. Could you come over? Zhang Heng cast a glance at Yang Nan, who approached the control panel. Is it Xuanzhou? Zhang Heng nodded affirmatively. Indeed, it is Xuanzhou. He then resumed his gaze at his phone, stating, We shall head to Xuanzhou shortly. We should arrive in approximately half an hour to an hour. When you see the flying vehicle, do come to find me, to avoid any misunderstandings. How spontaneous you are. When will you come to Liaodong? We are in need of assistance. Understood. I will make it a priority to meet you at the earliest opportunity. I shall inform our leader right away. Chapter 273. Xuanzhou uncertain of what awaited them this time. The flying fortress gradually descended over Xuanzhou. Below, a multitude of evolved beings were visible. Unlike before, they were aware of Zhang Heng's arrival. Almost everyone had gathered below to welcome him. The moment Zhang Heng stepped out of the flying fortress, a group of individuals erupted in cheers. An unexpected wave of embarrassment washed over Zhang Heng. He had never before experienced such a warm reception. It seemed that live streaming was indeed an excellent method, saving him the trouble of introductions while garnering enthusiastic applause. A youth, seemingly in his teens, dashed toward Zhang Heng, exclaiming, Zhang Heng, is it really you?" With a hint of confusion, Zhang Heng responded, "Are you the one who spoke to me in a live stream?" The boy eagerly nodded, "Yes. Recently, many people have gone missing here. Initially, we thought they intended to leave this place and explore other cities. However, as the number of disappearances increased, we began to harbor suspicions. I apologize for bringing you trouble." A man in his 40s approached, extending his right hand toward Zhang Heng. They exchanged a brief handshake. "It's no trouble at all. I was already out here rescuing people and assisting other survivors with the threat of zombies." "Are you their leader?" The middle-aged man nodded, introducing himself. "I am Wang Yang. It is a pleasure to meet you." "I am Cheng Lu," Zhang Heng replied with a smile. "This is not the place for a conversation. Let us find somewhere more suitable to discuss the situation." "Certainly. Please follow me," Wang Yang responded. At that moment, Zhang Heng noticed a man within the crowd who was missing an arm. He approached him, inquiring, "What happened to your arm?" The one-armed man appeared puzzled. "Why are you suddenly speaking to me? My arm was lost in childhood, not due to a zombie." "What's the matter?" Zhang Heng glanced at the man's severed limb, gently touched it, and said, "I wish to test my newly acquired ability." The one-armed man furrowed his brow in confusion. "What do you mean? But if you wish to try, go ahead." Holy light! Zhang Heng's right hand suddenly emitted a radiant white glow. The one-armed man's eyes widened in astonishment as his severed arm miraculously reformed, sprouting anew from the skin. "Wow!" The crowd gasped in collective shock. "Is this real? His arm has grown back. What incredible healing power! Regeneration of severed limbs. This is extraordinary. I've never witnessed such a remarkable ability, especially one that manifests instantaneously. I'm injured as well. Could you heal me?" Zhang Heng smiled gently, "Of course. All of you who are injured, gather around. I will treat you collectively. But first, I need to speak with your leader about what has transpired in Chuanzhou." Yang Nen watched Zhang Heng in the distance, his eyes filled with astonishment. Zhang Heng had acquired yet another new ability. Moreover, it is indeed this rare healing ability. This fellow has truly grown stronger. Zhang Heng and Wang Yang arrived at a location resembling an office. At this moment, Wang Yang spoke. "About a month ago, someone here suddenly vanished. Initially, we thought he had simply gone elsewhere, as he often expressed a desire to explore other cities, and we didn't pay it much mind. However, a few days later, an individual who would never leave this place also disappeared, leaving behind no trace and not even saying a word to his partner. This piqued our curiosity, prompting us to investigate. Yet, the results yielded nothing. In the subsequent days, we noticed a person missing every 3 days. We started with over 100 individuals, and now only about 90 remain. Later, we heard that Cheng Lu watched our live stream and suspected that a cannibal might be hiding among us. However, since no other evolvers have joined us during this time, and we have ruled out all residential areas, it seems we have found no trace of the cannibal. Consequently, we theorize that a zombie, perhaps more, may be lurking nearby, yet we can find no evidence of their presence. I wonder if you possess any special methods to locate them?" At this point, Zhang Heng inquired, "Every 3 days? Precisely? No time discrepancies?" Wang Yang shook his head. "There is almost no deviation. It is indeed every 3 days. By the way, today should mark the 3rd day. Therefore, we took a census early this morning and plan to gather together tonight to see if it proves effective." Zhang Heng smiled slightly, saying, "Then you should indeed gather tonight. I shall take a stroll. Perhaps I could become a target." Wang Yang expressed concern. "Isn't that too dangerous?" Zhang Heng shook his head. "Danger is of little concern to me. Finding this zombie is paramount. The fact that so many of you are unable to locate it indicates its confidence in concealment. Moreover, we cannot dismiss the possibility of a cannibal's existence. Cannibals do not emerge overnight. They are born of extreme food scarcity. They are human and can consume human flesh. Yet it is conceivable that one day they might crave an evolver and reveal their true nature." Wang Yang nodded, acknowledging, "You understand these matters better than we do. I shall follow your lead." Zhang Heng rose, stating, "Then I shall proceed to treat your people." "All right, thank you. It is but a small matter." Upon descending the stairs, Zhang Heng discovered a considerable gathering of individuals below, some injured, others with severed limbs, and some with broken fingers. A few bore grotesque scars, while one unfortunate soul had half his face devoured, exposing the stark whiteness of his bones. Zhang Heng's brow furrowed slightly as he remarked, "Let us begin with the most severely injured. What have you endured?" The man, lacking half his face, emanated a foul odor of decay, yet Zhang Heng held his composure. The other party offered an awkward smile. "I encountered a titan and nearly fell prey to it. Fortunately, our team discovered the danger in time. Otherwise, I would have lost my life. However, due to a lack of medical resources." Zhang Heng nodded. "Rest assured, I will heal you." He opened his palm, and a beam of white light emanated from his hand, enveloping the man's disfigured half-face. In the next moment, a cascade of white worms and repulsive pus fell from the man's ravaged visage. His skin began to regenerate rapidly, expelling all impurities from his body. A young man, strikingly reminiscent of a certain star, re-emerged before the onlookers. The man, in disbelief, gently touched his restored right face, his hand trembling slightly. Thank you." Zhang Heng smiled faintly. "No need for gratitude." Next, Chapter 274. The search for the ogre in Xuanzhou. There were quite a number of injured individuals. However, under the divine radiance of Zhang Heng, all the wounded were miraculously healed. In that moment, Zhang Heng was revered by the masses as if he were a deity. As night fell, everyone shut themselves in, but Zhang Heng wandered outside, while Yang Nin concealed himself in the shadows, observing. The question lingered, was it an ogre or a zombie? If the adversary dared to show themselves, clarity would soon follow. Yet, Zhang Heng believed that tonight would yield no results. If the foe were truly foolish enough to appear at this time, the resolution would be rather straightforward. Indeed, after a long night, Zhang Heng returned empty-handed, a scenario he had anticipated. Wang Yang, puzzled, inquired, "What? Didn't he appear?" Zhang Heng nodded, affirming no, he did not come. However, I anticipated his absence. One thing I can assert with certainty is that he is not a zombie, but rather an ogre. Wang Yang was slightly taken aback. "What makes you think so?" Laughing softly, Zhang Heng replied, "It's quite simple. If he were a zombie, adhering to his pattern of appearing every 3 days, he would have shown up last night. His absence signifies something. He likely knows I have come to confront him. The only ones aware of my arrival are the survivors here. Zombies do not monitor this place around the clock. After all, you would not suddenly leave, nor would there be a need for constant vigilance. So, you believe it is an ogre, and that he is among us?" Zhang Heng nodded. "Indeed, he is amongst us, and I have a method to unveil the ogre." Wang Yang, slightly taken aback, asked, "Really? How will you find him?" In the morning, everyone formed a line once more. Zhang Heng gazed at the man before him and inquired, "Speak, are you the ogre?" The crowd fell silent, and Wang Yang too was momentarily taken aback. Unable to suppress a laugh, Zhang Heng, "Do you truly think the ogre would openly confess to being an ogre? Or can you discern a lie through their micro-expressions?" Zhang Heng shook his head. "This is not merely a matter of observing micro-expressions. It is a far more sophisticated skill." In that instant, a blue light flickered in Zhang Heng's eyes. The man before him suddenly widened his gaze and mechanically uttered, "I am not the ogre." Zhang Heng nodded. Next, as the man walked a few meters away, he suddenly came to his senses, bewildered to find himself in an unfamiliar spot. Did I sleepwalk? How did I end up here?" Wang Yang grasped the individual, questioning, "What just happened?" I have no idea. I suddenly lost consciousness, and then I found myself here. I was just about to ask you, what happened to me?" Wang Yang raised an eyebrow, realizing that Zhang Heng appeared to be a dual-element user. That ability seemed akin to a mental manipulation skill. After all individuals had been examined, Zhang Heng turned to Wang Yang and said, "Wang Yang, it is your turn." Wang Yang was momentarily taken aback, unable to suppress a chuckle. "Do I also need to verify?" Zhang Heng nodded, stating, "Yes, we must eliminate all suspicions. Come on." Wang Yang took a deep breath and began to walk toward Zhang Heng. At that moment, someone interjected, "I don't think it's necessary to verify the boss. Moreover, your method doesn't seem very effective. Who would voluntarily admit to being a cannibal?" Although the previous sensation was peculiar, was this approach truly effective? I believe it should be effective. Zhang Heng replied. The power I just invoked upon you is the ability of words become law. I can compel you to reveal whether you are a cannibal, and with a mere utterance. I could even instigate your own demise. My power is irresistible. Upon hearing this, everyone widened their eyes in astonishment. Is it really that formidable? Zhang Heng then turned to Wang Yang. Speak, are you a cannibal? The blue light in Zhang Heng's eyes suddenly flickered. Wang Yang's brow furrowed, but in the next moment, his gaze became vacant. Indeed, I am a cannibal. Zhang Heng's expression shifted, and the people around him instantly displayed expressions of shock. Wang Yang suddenly snapped back to reality and glanced around, noticing that everyone was regarding him with astonished eyes. His heart raced. What's happening? Boss, you just admitted you are a cannibal. The boss is a cannibal? No way. That can't be true. Boss. Wang Yang awkwardly laughed. Could it be? How could I possibly be a cannibal? I'm your leader. Zhang Heng, do you truly believe I am a cannibal? Zhang Heng remained silent, continuing to exert his words become law ability. Tell me, where do you usually consume them? Let us there. Wang Yang's body stiffened. Then he suddenly bolted towards the encampment's exit. Zhang Heng followed closely behind. Damn, Wang Yang is truly a cannibal. Let's see for ourselves. The boss is actually a cannibal? Did he consume those people before? We clearly had plenty of food. Why would he do this? Wang Yang ran ahead, with Zhang Heng and their companions trailing closely behind. A few of them arrived at an entrance formed by a dilapidated ruin. Wang Yang stood at the entrance, turning back to say, "This is where I devoured them, raw." As he spoke, he suddenly froze, then regained awareness. He surveyed his surroundings, and his expression darkened to an alarming degree. Did the other party truly possess the ability to compel speech? Moreover, he had led everyone to the very spot where he had committed his atrocities. He was now at a loss for words. One member dashed into the ruins and emerged with some clothing. This is Zhao Chuan's clothing. I recognize it. Boss. Wang Yang lowered his head in silence, his expression ominously dark. Zhang Heng then asked, Wang Yang, I never imagined you would cry thief while being the thief yourself. So was you all along. Do you have anything else to say? Wang Yang suddenly broke into a chilling laugh, one that sent shivers down the spine. Zhang Heng's pupils constricted slightly, ever ready to confront his adversary. Wang Yang declared, I do not consume them. How can I safeguard you? Without me, would you not have perished long ago? The zombies we encounter grow increasingly formidable, and we have already eradicated the ones in our vicinity. I strive to grow stronger. I have no alternative. The ones I consume are merely burdens within our ranks. They not only require excessive sustenance, but also contribute little to our cause. I am aiding you. How dare you question me? If you had shown more resilience, would I resort to such measures? Upon uttering these words, everyone stared wide-eyed, clearly taken aback by the revelation. Chapter 275. The evolution of numbers 3 and 4. Everyone stood in stunned silence, gazing at Wang Yang. The individual before them was their leader, someone they had shared their lives with for a whole year. Throughout this time, they had united their efforts to vanquish countless zombies, ensuring a semblance of stability in their existence. Yet, to their utter disbelief, he was revealed to be the hidden cannibal. In that moment, it felt as though they had all received a grievous blow, leaving them utterly speechless. Among them, Cheng Lu was in tears, exclaiming, Wang Yang, I cannot believe it is you. Zhang Heng, whom Cheng Lu had rescued, had unveiled the lurking cannibal among them, none other than their leader, Wang Yang. Cheng Lu's heart was a tumult of emotions. Had he unwittingly betrayed his own leader? Wang Yang, noticing Cheng Lu's tear-streaked face, offered a bitter smile and said, Did you not all see? It was indeed I who consumed them, and I have no qualms in admitting it. My sole desire was to grow stronger, to protect you all. Alas, I chose the wrong method. At that moment, Zhang Heng interjected, What do you intend to do with your leader? The crowd remained enveloped in silence. Wang Yang turned to Zhang Heng and asked, How do you typically deal with cannibals? Zhang Heng smiled faintly. I ensure they meet a painful demise, but I can grant you a swift end. Wang Yang clenched his fists, momentarily at a loss for words. In a hurry, Cheng Lu rushed to Zhang Heng, pleading, Zhang Heng, I implore you, do not kill our leader. He has saved me countless times. I I would rather die in his place. At that moment, more individuals stepped forward from the crowd. Kill me. Let my life be exchanged for our leaders. Kill me. My life was saved by him. Without him, I would have perished long ago. Take my life for his. Zhang Heng regarded the survivors, each willing to sacrifice themselves for Wang Yang, and remarked coolly, "How touching. But what if you are merely a burden to this group? Perhaps your beloved leader patted your shoulder, promising to take you to a better place, only to feast upon you. Would you still willingly offer your bodies for his consumption, then?" At his words, a heavy silence fell over the crowd once more. Zhang Heng turned to Wang Yang and continued, "You wish to grow stronger, yet you have chosen a path that is antithetical to humanity. The number of survivors in this world is dwindling, with each individual enduring their own torment. Zombies feed on humans, yet you too partake of human flesh? Do you truly believe you have done no wrong, that your actions were solely to protect others? I cannot condone your methods. I dare to save lives indiscriminately. I treat everyone with absolute fairness. You are a cannibal, and regardless of your hidden struggles, you must face death." Wang Yang responded with a cold laugh. "Very well. Then kill me. I have no desire to continue living." Wait. Previously, those who had pleaded for Wang Yang suddenly stood before him, and one after another, individuals began to advance towards him. As Wang Yang gazed upon this assembly, his eyes involuntarily welled with tears. "Are you all fools?" At that moment, Yang then approached Zhang Heng and remarked, "I didn't expect them to be so loyal, yet the man-eater must be punished. There shall be no leniency." Zhang Heng nodded and replied, "What do you mean? Do you intend to threaten your leader? If you believe your leader is in the right, then it won't be long before you too become a man-eater. Should you transform into such a creature, it will only lead to more survivors meeting their demise. I would not hesitate to eradicate every last one of you." A wave of emotion swept over the crowd, yet none took any action. They remained rooted in place. Zhang Heng turned to Wang Yang and commanded, "Wang Yang, stop breathing." Suddenly, Wang Yang's eyes widened in shock, and in the next instant he gasped for air, his face gradually turning crimson as he writhed in agony upon the ground. Everyone looked on in astonishment at this unfolding scene. Zhang Heng then declared, "If you truly care for your leader, it would be best to grant him a swift end now." The crowd stood in a daze, paralyzed by the moment. Wang Yang, in his anguish, scanned the faces around him, desperately hoping for someone to extend a helping hand. Yet, all he received were indifferent stares. Ultimately, Wang Yang succumbed to his pain and perished. The onlookers averted their eyes, overwhelmed by sorrow. Zhang Heng then stated, "Now that the man-eater has been dealt with, we ought to take our leave. I wish you all the best." With those words, he turned away, leading Yang Nan out. "Zhang Heng, thank you." A voice called from behind. Turning to Si Cheng Lu, Zhang Heng offered a faint smile before continuing onward. Who would have believed that the man-eater was their leader? It was truly unfathomable that in the quest for power, one would resort to devouring their own kind. Yang Nan sighed in resignation, observing, "He speaks with such conviction, entirely oblivious to his own wrongdoing, standing atop a moral pedestal, yet he has clearly lost his sanity. I fear those around him are not far behind." As for Cheng Lu, the youth, it was uncertain what awaited them next. Zhang Heng inquired, "Do you fear they will retaliate against Cheng Lu? After all, I was summoned by him. Surely that cannot be the case. I have even aided many of them in healing their wounds. Those who were maimed are now whole again." Yang then shook his head. The human heart is the most terrifying of all. Moreover, they now understand that consuming their kin can lead to strength. Who knows what may transpire? Zhang Heng chuckled wryly. "My focus remains on survival. As for what follows, I cannot afford to concern myself with it. Let us proceed to the next city." With that, Zhang Heng and Yang then made their way towards the flying fortress. Just then, a notification sound echoed in his ear. The third and fourth zombies have commenced their evolution. Zhang Heng was momentarily taken aback. Both the third and fourth zombies were evolving? He hurriedly dashed towards the training room. Upon opening the door, he was met with the sight of two enormous flesh masses adhered to the ground. The larger one was presumably the third, while the smaller one was likely the fourth. As the third zombie evolved, it would naturally progress towards the same disastrous path. ultimately transforming into a fire-breathing Godzilla. The fourth, originally a skeletal demon, would evolve into the fifth form of a zombie. A glimmer of excitement flickered in Zhang Heng's eyes. He still had the opportunity to collect these corpses as his servants, which meant he could potentially acquire two fifth-form zombies to serve him. Yang Nan, in utter astonishment, exclaimed that his zombies were evolving. Chapter 276, Journey to Huayang. Zhang Heng could not help but chuckle. Thanks to the rainwater tank, my fourth brother is on the brink of transforming into the fifth form of a zombie. Fortunately, he has also unlocked the fifth genetic lock. Otherwise, we might have faced an uncontrollable situation with him. He continued, evolution requires time, so let them advance for now. Ma Gu and number 2, please continue your training in the rainwater tank. Numbers 1 and 2 nodded and resumed their training within the rainwater tank. It appeared that only the bottom layer of rainwater remained, indicating that they had absorbed a significant amount. At this moment, Zhang Heng approached the control panel and examined the map. A red source marker appeared on the map for places they had visited, while only one location, Huayang City, remained unmarked. Huayang is a first-tier city, and its current state was uncertain. Zhang Heng set the destination to Huayang City and then turned to Yang Nan, saying, "Our next city is Huayang, a first-tier city with the largest population and abundant resources. I wonder what its condition is now. If this city is also safe, we can consider leaving Jiangsu and Zhujiang." Yang Nan sighed. "So far, I have yet to encounter a zombie willing to revert to human form. My ability seems utterly ineffective. Although Yang Nan might forcibly transform zombies into humans, the nature of man-eating fiends would likely lead them to retain their predilection for consuming evolved beings. Thus, the only option would be to eliminate them. In other words, it would be exceedingly difficult for Yang Nan to find a willing zombie among the horde." Zhang Heng smiled gently. "It's all right. I believe we will encounter such a zombie eventually, even if we do not find any willing to return to humanity. Our primary goal remains to ensure the survival of humanity in a safer manner." Yang Nan interjected, "In the cities we have visited, it appears that the zombies have all been eradicated by humans, which has halted the progress of unlocking genetic locks, unless it rains. However, zombies can grow stronger by consuming evolved beings. Do you think this will lead to increasingly powerful zombies and weaker humans? Moreover, will more man-eating fiends like Wang Yang emerge?" Zhang Heng was momentarily taken aback by Yang Nan's query. Wang Yang's consumption of evolved beings was taken for granted. It was evident that he had recognized the stagnation of genetic lock progress due to the death of zombies. Thus, he had discovered an alternative means to accelerate the unlocking of genetic locks, devouring other evolved beings. Given this trajectory, the likelihood of man-eating fiends emerging could indeed increase over time. Zhang Heng found himself at a loss for words in response to Yang Nan's concerns. If the future truly unfolded as she described, then the world in which they currently resided would indeed resemble a hellish nightmare. Once humanity eradicated the zombies surrounding the cities and depleted their resources, they would find themselves without zombies to grow stronger and without food to sustain themselves, significantly raising the chances of man-eating fiends emerging. If this situation becomes the norm, then ultimately, even if the zombies are extinguished, a horde of cannibals will remain. Although humanity still governs this world, its essence has undeniably shifted. Zhang Heng stood before the control panel, suddenly enveloped in silence. Yang Nan, mistaking Zhang Heng's quietude for idle contemplation, quickly interjected, "Zhang Heng, I was merely speaking casually. Do not overthink it." Upon hearing this, Zhang Heng shook his head and replied, "What you've said is indeed worthy of consideration. If humanity were unburdened by the worry of sustenance, would that not diminish the likelihood of cannibals emerging?" With each city he visited, he left behind seeds, instructing the inhabitants on agricultural methods and encouraging them to collect rainwater, which could fortify their strength. Yet, it was inevitable that some would seek shortcuts. Perhaps he could initiate a live stream to caution them, or enlist more individuals in the quest to hunt down the cannibals. The strength of the two of them was simply too limited. Thus, Zhang Heng activated the live stream. The moment the stream commenced, thousands of viewers flooded in. "Another broadcast? I heard the host has gone to Chuanzhou. What is the update? Have they found the cannibals?" We have. I'm from Chuanzhou, and the cannibal there turned out to be our leader, who was killed by the host. Is that true? Your leader was a cannibal? How did the host discover this? The barrage of comments surged relentlessly. At this juncture, Zhang Heng declared, as per our usual protocol, I hope everyone recording this can disseminate the information across major online platforms. What I am about to share is also related to the cannibals. Given that we now inhabit a world devoid of nationality, I believe it is time to establish a legal system for this realm. I shall create a nation under the name of the former Dragon Kingdom. The first law I will enact is cannibalism is strictly forbidden. Offenders will face the death penalty. You all are the overseers. Should you observe any signs of cannibalism or encounter a cannibal, please contact me immediately. I will rush to the scene, no matter the distance. Within a certain building in Huaiyang, a long-haired man held his phone, laughing heartily at Zhang Heng's declarations during the live stream. This fellow is quite amusing. He is actually founding the Dragon Kingdom online. So, he is a Dragon Kingdom, then? A crew-cut man approached, glancing at Zhang Heng on the phone. What is he up to? So audacious. Live streaming with such a large audience? The long-haired man smiled slightly. His name is Zhang Heng. I have been following him from the very beginning. He seems to be traversing various cities, dealing with both zombies and cannibals. I've heard he even provides seeds and teaches others how to cultivate crops. You know Chuanzhou? We had dealings with Wang Yang there. I didn't expect him to be so careless and get discovered. The crew-cut man was momentarily taken aback. Wang Yang has begun to indulge in cannibalism, and he was reported by his own people right at the outset. I've heard that this Zhang Heng has already dealt with Wang Yang. The man with a shaved head could not suppress his laughter, remarking, if he were to arrive in this city, I imagine he would be utterly astonished. The long-haired man cast a glance at the nearby iron cages, where both men and women were confined, trembling uncontrollably at the mere sight of him. Astonished? Perhaps. But aside from being taken aback, what could he possibly do? Could he vanquish our cannibalistic realm? The shaved-headed man, too, succumbed to a fit of wicked laughter as he approached the iron cages, exclaiming, Hey, do you wish for Zhang Heng to come and rescue you? Ha ha ha. The individuals within the cages had already been so terrified that they had lost control. Chapter 277. The Realm of Ogres Above the City of Huaiyang. Zhang Heng gazed downward, perplexed by the sight before him. The city appeared as though it had endured the ravages of war. The entire landscape was marred by countless wounds, with raging fires and craters littering the ground, alongside the gaping fissures left in the wake of a prior earthquake. He noticed several evolved beings cautiously navigating through the ruins beneath him, each step taken with utmost care. In the distance, at the heart of the city, Zhang Heng discerned signs of human activity. He directed the flying fortress towards that area, which gradually descended, drawing a crowd of onlookers. Upon exiting the fortress, a middle-aged man approached him, inquiring whether they were external survivors. The man cast a glance at Zhang Heng and then at Yang Nan, who stood behind him. Zhang Heng affirmed, indeed, they were indeed outsiders. He inquired about the city's plight, noting the apparent absence of zombies, as if they had been eradicated. The middle-aged man nodded before responding, stating that the zombies had indeed been eliminated, yet warned of a more terrifying presence lurking nearby. He advised them to leave post-haste. Zhang Heng raised an eyebrow, turning to Yang Nan before asking the man what could be more frightening than zombies. Taking a deep breath, the man uttered 3 words, ogres. At the sound of this, the faces of the surrounding survivors turned pale, hastening their retreat. Zhang Heng smiled slightly, offering his assistance in locating the ogres, provided they were willing to cooperate. The middle-aged man scoffed, revealing that they were aware of the ogres' whereabouts, situated on the outskirts of the city. He questioned whether Zhang Heng intended to help vanquish them. Zhang Heng expressed confusion, noting that their numbers seemed substantial. The man retorted with a cold grin, estimating their ranks to be in the hundreds. How many? Zhang Heng exclaimed in astonishment. The man confirmed, stating that they once numbered over 2,000, but now only 300 remained. The majority had perished in battles against the ogres, while some had been captured, likely becoming the ogre's sustenance. Furthermore, a portion of those who wished to evade being devoured had joined the ogres. Presently, the ogre population was estimated to be around 200, lurking nearby, not attacking, but occasionally abducting individuals, as if they were partaking in an all-you-can-eat buffet. As the man spoke, his fists clenched, a glint of ferocity flashing in his eyes before it was swiftly concealed. Zhang Heng inquired, suggesting they did not seem capable of confronting the ogres. Had they considered fleeing the area? The middle-aged man shook his head, explaining that escaping would only hasten their demise, as the ogres surrounded them. They had no opportunity to flee, unless they dug tunnels or possessed flying apparatuses akin to Zhang Heng's. Even those who could fly were at risk of being shot down, as there were among the ogres those with the ability to fly. Zhang Heng took a deep breath and declared, "I demand to meet your leader." The middle-aged man smiled wryly and replied, "I am, perhaps, the most inept leader in this world, standing right before you." Was this middle-aged fellow truly their leader? It appeared that the situation here was rather similar. They were being kept like livestock. The ogres, in an effort to maintain their freshness, refrained from widespread slaughter, instead opting to confine them. They were unable to leave this place or mount any resistance. Zhang Heng inhaled deeply and assured him, "Rest assured, now that I am here, I will assist you in dealing with them." Suddenly, the middle-aged man took a step back and said, "I suggest you speak with them yourselves." Having said that, he turned and fled. Everyone else also rushed into the nearby buildings. Zhang Heng turned to look back and saw a long-haired man and a crew-cut man approaching him. The crew-cut man, visibly surprised, remarked, "I was just watching your live stream this morning. Who would have thought you'd end up here just a few hours later?" Zhang Heng. Did the other party actually watch his live stream? Zhang Heng inquired nonchalantly. "So you're the ogre they spoke of?" The crew-cut man smiled slightly. "Ogre? Such a harsh term. We are also human. Our dietary habits simply differ." The long-haired man burst into laughter. "Dietary habits, indeed. Old Sue, you truly have a way with words." The crew-cut man maintained his smile. "Isn't that the truth? It's merely a matter of differing dietary preferences." The long-haired man then turned to Zhang Heng and asked, "I've heard you two have dealt with numerous ogres. Have you ever faced hundreds of them?" Zhang Heng couldn't help but chuckle. "You exude such bravado. Perhaps you should consider taking your own life instead." Upon hearing this, the crew-cut man was momentarily taken aback, then pulled a dagger from his pocket. The long-haired man sneered, "Old Sue, show him what you're made of." The crew-cut man raised the dagger and plunged it into his own eye socket. The dagger pierced through his eye, and the crew-cut man fell lifelessly to the ground. The long-haired man glanced at Old Sue, who was slowly collapsing, a knife embedded in his eye, his body twitching slightly on the ground. The long-haired man's eyes widened in shock. Old Sue, have you lost your mind?" As the life drained from him, the long-haired man found himself momentarily stunned as a wave of suffocation engulfed his body. His face flushed crimson as he knelt, struggling for breath. Yang Nin observed the scene with a faint smile. "Your ability seems quite effective. Does it work on everyone?" Zhang Heng shook his head. "It only works on ogres." Yang Nin nodded in understanding, realizing it was intended solely for malevolent beings. After several minutes of struggle, the long-haired man succumbed, collapsing to the ground in silence. Zhang Heng's expression was decidedly grim at that moment. These ogres were exceedingly audacious. Aware of my presence, they still dared to utter such meaningless drivel before me. It seemed there were several hundred surrounding us, and I found myself at a loss for discernment. "Young Nan, what do you think about taking a stroll outside? Perhaps we could eliminate a few of them and draw the rest out?" At that instant, the middle-aged man who had previously fled rushed back in, exclaiming, How did you manage to do it? You actually killed them?" Zhang Heng replied, "The ogres should not possess any particularly distinctive features, correct?" The middle-aged man shook his head. "They are essentially human. However, their eyes differ from ours. They're green, likely a result of their excessive consumption of human flesh. Their eyes have taken on a hint of green." Zhang Heng nodded thoughtfully. "Is that so?" He approached the corpse on the ground and lifted its eyelid, confirming the presence of green in their eyes. Yet another method to identify ogres? He mused. "Yang Nan, those with green eyes might well be ogres." Yang Nan nodded in agreement. As for Zhang Heng, he had his own means of discernment. Chapter 278. Commencing the cleansing, the city of Huayang exuded an air of desolation. A profound silence enveloped the entire area, with even the whispers of the wind rendered strikingly distinct. At this moment, Zhang Heng stood before a dilapidated three-story building. On the upper floor, a figure regarded him with a vigilant gaze. "Come before me," Zhang Heng commanded. The middle-aged man on the building paused momentarily before leaping from the third floor, landing before Zhang Heng. As Zhang Heng observed the man's eyes, which glimmered with an unsettling green hue, he realized without a doubt that this individual was a cannibalistic creature. The man's consumption of numerous evolved beings had imparted a ghastly sheen to his eyes, a telltale sign of prolonged indulgence in the flesh of the transformed. It had been approximately a year since the apocalypse had descended upon the world, and it was unclear just how many evolved beings these creatures had devoured in that time. Surrounding the small building lay a multitude of ominous bones, particularly abundant in this vicinity. It appeared that locating them would not prove overly challenging. Zhang Heng inquired, "Where's your stronghold?" "Let me there," the middle-aged man replied. "We have no stronghold. We merely reside nearby." "No stronghold?" Zhang Heng questioned, perplexed. "Is there no leader among you?" "No," the man reiterated. "We simply live in the area." "Do you hunt humans?" "The humans in the pen do not require hunting. When food is scarce, we can simply capture them. They are weak and can be easily subjugated. However, we adhere to a code. One must not capture a second evolved being until the first has been fully consumed." "One?" Zhang Heng noted, incredulously. The unit of measure for humans had been reduced to that of mere animals. He inhaled deeply and stated, "Take me to find other cannibals." The middle-aged man stepped forward, with Zhang Heng closely trailing behind. It wasn't long before they arrived at another small building. A man emerged from within, and upon seeing the two below, could not suppress a laugh. "Lin Yu, why have you brought a stranger here? Who is this?" Zhang Heng issued a command for Lin Yu to end his own life. Complying, Lin Yu withdrew a dagger and plunged it into his own eye. The man from the building was taken aback by Lin Yu's suicide, momentarily rendered speechless. Zhang Heng continued his path of control and slaughter among the cannibals. The commotion soon attracted the attention of nearby cannibals, who began to gather in increasing numbers. Before long, Zhang Heng found himself confronted by a dozen or more cannibals approaching his position, led by a man with long hair. The long-haired man scrutinized the cannibal beside Zhang Heng and asked, "Who are you? Why has everyone accompanying you inexplicably taken their own lives?" Zhang Heng smiled faintly and replied, "I have heard that there are hundreds of cannibals in this area. I have come to eradicate you." "Eradicate us?" The long-haired man laughed incredulously. "With just you? It seems you have grown weary of life. Brothers, attack." In an instant, all individuals unleashed their capabilities and surged towards Zhang Heng's position. However, to Zhang Heng, their movements appeared agonizingly slow, so much so that he could not be bothered to wait for them to reach him. Instead, he charged ahead. In the face of absolute speed, this group was utterly incapable of reacting. In a fleeting moment, over a dozen individuals were sent flying, each bearing terrifying imprints of fists upon their bodies, some with their abdomens nearly perforated, their forms collapsing. Zhang Heng seized one man's hair, who gazed at him in terror, pleading, "No, please don't kill me. I am human like you." Zhang Heng could not help but chuckle. "No, you are not human. You're livestock." With that, he crushed the man's skull beneath his foot. After confirming that all around him lay lifeless, Zhang Heng beckoned the ogre who had previously led him. The ogre approached him, moving with a mechanical urgency. Zhang Heng continued to slay the ogres he encountered along his path. Yang Nan, too, was not exempt from this carnage, and she found the task even more effortless than Zhang Heng. The four bone blades at her back were unyielding. Once an evolved being was struck by one, they were inevitably severed in twain. It's the fifth form of zombie. It's the fifth form of zombie. Run. Wait. Don't kill me. We are on the same side. I also prey on evolved beings. With a swift motion, a bone blade sliced through, cleaving the speaker's skull in half. Yang Nan, expressionless, continued onward. The entire ogre enclave erupted in chaos at that moment. Ogres living nearby fled in a frenzy, congregating within a single well-preserved building. Although the ogres lacked a leader or a stronghold, the strongest among them evidently became their unspoken pillar of strength in this hour of crisis. All the ogres raced towards the solitary building that remained intact. Cheng Liang stood by the window, astonished at the sight of ogres rushing from all directions towards his location. Beside him stood a young girl, no more than 11 or 12, holding a plate of raw meat. Behind her lay a young woman, completely stripped of her skin, yet astonishingly still alive. "Brother Chung Liang, what's wrong? Aren't you hungry?" Chung Liang smiled faintly, patting the girl's head. "Jialing, you go ahead and eat. They seem to be looking for me. I must see what's happening." He picked up a glass of red wine from the table and descended the stairs, without electricity. He had no choice but to use the stairs. At the stairwell's corner, Chung Liang encountered the group rushing upwards. "Chung Liang, it's bad." An evolved being suddenly appeared, along with a fifth-form zombie. "They have killed many of us, and now they are heading this way." Chung Liang's expression shifted. A fifth-form zombie? And a man? Yes, a man. Zhang Heng. The name of this man unexpectedly emerged in Chung Liang's mind. Although he was aware that the individual was in Jiangsu and Zhejiang, he never anticipated that the other party would arrive so swiftly. Damn it, just a fifth-tier zombie was already enough for them to handle. Chung Liang took a deep breath and declared, "There is no room for hesitation. We must depart from this place immediately." Suddenly, a shattering sound echoed from upstairs, accompanied by a piercing scream from a young girl. Chung Liang was taken aback and hurriedly rushed upstairs, calling out, "Jialing." Chapter 279. The Earth Cracks. Zhang Heng tightly grasped the little girl's neck, his gaze turning icy as he observed the blood dripping from her mouth and the morsels of flesh she had yet to swallow. Could this tiny girl also be a cannibal? At that moment, Yang Nan stepped out from behind Zhang Heng, offering, "If you find it difficult to act, I can assist you." Suddenly, a group of people burst forth from a corner ahead. Chung Liang, witnessing Jialing being held captive, felt a flicker of urgency in his eyes. "Zhang Heng, do not harm her." Zhang Heng's expression shifted slightly. "You actually know me? It seems you've been following my live stream." Chung Liang set down his wine glass, confessing, "We had no other choice but to resort to this. The food around us has already committed suicide." Chung Liang's eyes widened in shock, and before he could comprehend the situation, he found his hands gripping his own neck, followed by a swift, violent twist. Crack! His head was abruptly turned backwards. The other occupants of the room gasped in horror. Yet, before they could fully react, their bodies were mercilessly cleaved into several segments by bone knives. Zhang Heng unceremoniously tossed Jialing onto the ground. She looked at him in terror, pleading, "Please, don't kill me. Please." Zhang Heng, with a stoic demeanor, commanded, "Cease breathing." Jialing's expression changed, and she began to writhe helplessly on the floor. Zhang Heng approached their dining table, eyeing the grotesque sight of a woman bound and stripped, one leg reduced to mere bone. A grave expression crossed his face. "These wretched cannibals. They have developed a taste for the macabre." Yang Nan's face also darkened. "I will search the surroundings for other cannibals." Clearly, Yang Nan was incensed. Zhang Heng did not deter him, and instead circled the room. He unexpectedly discovered a locked chamber. Pushing open the door, an appalling scene unfolded. The individuals inside erupted in screams, some so frightened they lost control of their bladders. These women, shackled by iron chains, lay stripped of clothing, cast upon the ground like animals pinned by screws. Zhang Heng declared, "I am not a cannibal. I have come to rescue you. The cannibals outside have been vanquished. You are safe now." Upon hearing this, disbelief clouded the faces of the captives, none daring to speak. Zhang Heng tore apart the chains binding them and retrieved garments from his spatial backpack, laying them before the women. "Put on these clothes and follow me out of here." 7 or 8 women hurriedly donned the clothing scattered on the ground. Zhang Heng led this group of women back to their residential area. Some of them were still in disbelief, thinking they were caught in a dream. Afterward, Zhang Heng and Yang Nan eradicated the nearby cannibals, both feeling a heavy weight in their hearts, leading to minimal interaction with the survivors. The sight of the woman bound to the table, her flesh carved away, dealt a significant blow to their spirits. At this moment, Zhang Heng and Yang Nan found themselves aboard the flying fortress. Zhang Heng's expression was grim as he gazed out the window. Perhaps similar events were unfolding elsewhere, suggesting that additional efforts were imperative. Yang Nan, puzzled, inquired about his intentions. Zhang Heng replied, If the drastic reduction in the number of zombies leads the evolved beings to contemplate cannibalistic evolution, then our ultimate adversary may not be the zombies, but rather the human survivors. Is that not utterly absurd? Yang Nan was momentarily at a loss for words. It seemed that the early extermination of the zombies had given rise to a faction among humans eager to accelerate the unlocking of genetic potential through alternative means, thus birthing the cannibals. This was indeed a profoundly tragic circumstance. Having survived the onslaught of zombies, one ultimately fell prey to the insatiable hunger of fellow evolved humans. Zhang Heng shook his head in resignation and approached the control panel, studying the map displayed before him. They had already scoured the cities of Jiangnan and Jiangsu and needed to seek a new location. Suddenly, Zhang Heng felt an ominous tremor beneath him. In the next moment, the ground quaked violently. Even amidst the skies, he could perceive the earth's sudden descent, accompanied by a thunderous roar. He hastily elevated the flying fortress. Below, the land began to collapse in sections, with Huayang City plunging directly underground, vast areas of the city vanishing from view. Zhang Heng and Yang then exchanged worried glances, witnessing the chaos unfold. Another earthquake? What was its intention? Did it seek to eradicate all living beings on this planet? A blinding flash of lightning struck down, followed by a torrential downpour. The violent winds lashed against the flying fortress, creating a cacophony of sound. Yang Nan, resigned, remarqued, "It appears the end of the world is upon us." In such dire conditions, not only humans, but even zombies would struggle to survive. The earth continued to fracture and extend relentlessly. This earthquake seemed intent on erasing humanity's presence and legacy from the planet in one fell swoop. Zhang Heng, in the air, felt somewhat secure. However, landing would likely pose a challenge, as finding a place to dock the flying fortress seemed improbable. He piloted the fortress forward, uncertain of how much time had passed when the tremors finally subsided. Yet, the rain persisted in its relentless descent. Zhang Heng checked his phone, only to discover a lack of signal. Attempting to contact Pan Jiaying and the others for updates appeared futile. At that moment, Zhang Heng declared, "Yang Nan, I wish to return to Samping and see how it has fared." Yang Nan nodded, recognizing the gravity of the situation. It was likely grim. "We must return swiftly." With determination, Zhang Heng set the course of the flying fortress, which raced towards Samping in Jiangnan City. Due to its rapid speed, Zhang Heng arrived at his destination within an hour. Yet upon arrival, all he beheld was the flying fortress in the sky. Samping lay in ruins, utterly unrecognizable. Zhang Heng opened the entrance of the flying bunker and soared out, heading directly towards the adjacent flying bunker. At that moment, the door of the flying bunker swung open, and Pan Jiaying stood at the threshold, watching Zhang Heng approach. She hurriedly waved her hand, calling out to him. Zhang Heng entered the flying bunker, only to discover it was nearly deserted, save for a few women, Lin Xueshi, Su Ling, and Pan Jiaying. He inquired with confusion, "Where is everyone else?" Pan Jiaying's expression darkened as she replied, "Everything happened too swiftly. They couldn't make it in time, and we have no knowledge of their fate. We intend to descend and investigate. It seems your side is in a similar predicament, is it not?" Chapter 280. Rescuing lives. 2 flying fortresses seamlessly connected in mid-air, their doors merging together. Around the dining table, Zhang Heng and his companions gathered, enveloped in a profound silence, unsure of what to say. This earthquake was far more devastating than the last, obliterating the remnants of human civilization. Approaching the window, Zhang Heng gazed upon the utterly sunken Samping city. There was no other choice. I must descend. At that moment, Pan Jiaying spoke up. "We shall accompany you." Zhang Heng nodded. "Then let us go together." He returned to the flying fortress, steering it towards the depths of the abyss. The depth of the chasm was unfathomable. As they descended, glimpses of corpses clinging to the nearby cliffs became visible. The 2 flying fortresses plunged deeper until Zhang Heng finally spotted a landmass resembling a city. It must be several hundred meters below, though not exceedingly deep. The abrupt collapse of the city would surely result in countless fatalities. The fortress landed on the ground, surrounded by scattered corpses and enormous boulders strewn about. Zhang Heng, Lin Xueshi, Pan Jiaying, Su Ling, and Yang exchanged glances before stating, "Let us split up and search." They replied in unison. Zhang Heng chose a direction and swiftly moved forward. Despite the torrential rain overhead, the five remained oblivious, laboriously sifting through the ruins. As Zhang Heng pressed on, he encountered numerous bodies lying on the ground. Suddenly, a glimmer of hope sparked in his eyes, and he rushed forward. Uncle Su. Su Bo was nearly drenched in blood, yet he was alive. His regenerative abilities had saved him. Zhang Heng immediately summoned divine light upon Su Bo. Under its embrace, Su Bo's body began to heal at an astonishing rate. Cough. Zhang Heng, you have returned? Su Bo looked at Zhang Heng, a smile breaking on his face. Yes, Uncle Su, I have returned. You will be fine shortly, and then you can help us search for other survivors. Su Bo nodded. All right. A few minutes later, Su Bo regained his vitality. He glanced skyward. Has the entire city sunk? Truly at this moment, Zhang Heng said, Uncle Su, I am off to rescue others. If you come across any injured, do not move them. Just call for me, and I will be nearby. Su Bo inquired anxiously, Are Pan Jiaying and the others safe? Zhang Heng assured him. They are well. Xueshi and Su Ling are unharmed. Hearing this, Su Bo sighed in relief. They mentioned they were preparing a meal, likely avoiding disaster because of it. It is good to know they're safe. I will check over there. Zhang Heng continued onward, but luck was not on his side, as he seemed to find no survivors in need of rescue. Surely, among so many, a few must still be alive? Suddenly, Zhang Heng seemed to catch sight of something and hurriedly dashed toward the boulder. Brother Chong. Zhang Heng gently patted Cheng Chong's cheek. Cheng Chong, despite his evident agony, remained unconscious. A glance at Cheng Chong's lower body revealed it crushed beneath a heavy stone, leading to excessive blood loss. Zhang Heng forcefully kicked the boulder aside and subsequently invoked the holy light upon Cheng Chong's battered form. Under the luminous radiance, Cheng Chong's body began to mend, flesh and bone reconstituting at an astonishing pace. Gradually, he stirred awake. Upon opening his eyes, he was immediately blinded by the rainwater cascading down. Zhang Heng, is that you? I think I see you, he exclaimed. Zhang Heng, with a bittersweet smile, replied, Yes, it's me, Brother Chong. Are you all right? Cheng Chong rose to his feet, shielding his forehead with one hand. It really is you. How am I unscathed? Damn, I can't be dead. Can I? Zhang Heng chuckled. No, Brother Chong. You're alive. You were injured, but I've healed you. Cheng Chong, incredulous, examined his legs, recalling how they had been trapped beneath the stone, presumably broken. Now, witnessing their restoration, he questioned his own senses, thinking he must be dreaming. Zhang Heng then remarked, Brother Chong, we must continue searching for other survivors. The rain hampers my abilities, but I will look around. Cheng Chong nodded, and they resumed their search. After some time, the torrential rain began to subside, ultimately ceasing. Zhang Heng and a few others gathered near the flying bunker. With a furrowed brow, he inquired, Su Ling, have you not encountered a single survivor? Su Ling, a healer among them, silently shook her head, and the others mirrored her helplessness. Had he truly rescued only two? Were the rest perished? Cheng Chong suggested, Let us search more thoroughly. Perhaps we overlooked something. Zhang Heng replied, No need. We must leave this place. Pan Jiaying interjected, Perhaps there are still survivors. Zhang Heng, gazing at a crack beneath his feet, stated, This place won't hold much longer. We must depart immediately. The ground below is likely hollow, saturated by the rain, and fissures are forming. Collapse is merely a matter of time. Everyone into the flying bunker. As he spoke, Zhang Heng retracted one of the flying bunkers, and the group began to enter. The moment all had stepped inside, the ground suddenly sank beneath them. The flying bunker plummeted downward. Instinctively, everyone grasped anything they could find for support. Zhang Heng remained composed, commanding the bunker fly. Ascend from here. The flying bunker surged upward, swiftly darting into the sky. Zhang Heng approached the window, peering down. The city below lay in ruins, the ground fractured and collapsing. Even if there were survivors, their fate was likely sealed now. The flying bunker glided through the air, with the expressions of all aboard reflecting their grave concerns. Zhang Heng turned to gaze at the group behind him. Pan Jiaying, Su Bo, Lin Xueshi, Changgu, and Su Ling. We were all from Mingdu Huayuan. And who would have thought that a year later, only we remained? Su Ling remarked, I am not. Zhang Heng replied with a bitter smile. At the very least, you were among those we met back then. At this moment, Cheng Chong interjected. It seems there is hardly a piece of good land left in this world. Not only humans, but even the zombies may struggle to survive. The question now loomed. Where should we go next? And what action should we take? The second earthquake had inflicted tremendous anguish and trials upon everyone's hearts, leaving them momentarily at a loss on how to confront the reality before them. Chapter 281. The end at this moment. Zhang Heng remarked, for now, we can only take one step at a time. The unfortunate fortune is that we are all still alive. In any case, you all should take a moment to rest. I will see where we can head next. After speaking, he made his way towards the control panel. The others exchanged glances and subsequently found their way into various bedrooms. The recent torrential downpour had been ferocious, and it was uncertain how many zombies might have been empowered by it. This world has been utterly shattered. Zhang Heng sighed helplessly as he began to operate the control panel. Help me locate areas that have suffered less damage. Soon, the screen displayed several regions along with topographical maps. The red areas indicated fissures, while the green represented flatlands. It appeared that the continental plates had sustained severe destruction. In contrast, several islands seemed to remain relatively intact. Zhang Heng charted a route to one of the islands. The speed of the flying bunker was not swift. It moved at a leisurely pace. Pan Jiaying began to prepare a meal. Alongside, Su Ling Lin Xueshi approached Zhang Heng and cheerfully exclaimed, Hey, long time no see. Zhang Heng turned to glance at Lin Xueshi, offering a subtle smile as he replied, Indeed, it has been a while. How have things been in Samping? Lin Xueshi nodded. It's been all right. I have now unlocked the fourth gene lock, and my hair has improved. Didn't you notice? Only then did Zhang Heng observe that Lin Xueshi's formerly frizzy hair had transformed into smooth, long strands. She seemed to have changed considerably, appearing taller and more mature. He recalled that Lin Xueshi had previously suffered from hormonal imbalances which stunted her growth. Yet at this moment, she seemed to have grown significantly, her cherubic face evolving into an elegant oval shape. Pan Jiaying has also unlocked her fourth gene lock, and Chang has unlocked his third. We are all striving with the intention of one day assisting you. Who would have thought we would encounter such circumstances? Zhang Heng chuckled wryly, rest assured. As long as we are here, home will endure. Lin Xueshi nodded with a smile. You are right. As long as we are together, home will remain. We are a family. Zhang Heng then turned to the group gathered behind him and declared, Everyone, I have an announcement to make. Some individuals stepped out from their bedrooms, and soon, all were gathered before him. Zhang Heng continued. According to the assessments on the map, the various urban sectors have suffered catastrophic destruction, leaving us without a safe place to land. Furthermore, remaining in the cities could expose us to potential earthquakes. I propose we head to the island. After experiencing 2 major earthquakes, it appears the island has not endured significant damage. Cheng Chong adjusted his glasses and inquired, Are you suggesting we seek refuge on the island? Zhang Heng nodded affirmatively. Indeed, we shall take refuge on the island. The events unfolding in this world are beyond our individual capacities to prevent. I also believe that there must be other survivors in this world who are perhaps striving to find ways to endure. However, the likelihood of us being able to assist them is rather slim. Rather than placing our hopes on the nebulous goal of saving the world, it would be more prudent to first find a place to settle down. Let the world unfold as it may. We should focus on fortifying our own existence. Having traversed numerous cities and saved countless lives, all efforts were rendered null by a single earthquake. This left Zhang Heng feeling as though he was engaged in a futile endeavor, a devastating blow to his spirit. Saving the world? Perhaps we should first save ourselves. He felt utterly powerless. It would be wiser to seek a secure location, enhance his strength, and elevate it to its zenith, so that when challenges arise, he might address them promptly. At this juncture, Pan Jiaying spoke. Are you not planning to see your ideas through to the end? I mean, saving humanity. Zhang Heng shook his head. Human capability is finite. I shall endeavor to do what I can, But at present, I am unable to do so. This planet cannot be saved by my efforts alone. Pan Jiaying was momentarily lost in thought. It seemed that the weight of this setback was indeed overwhelming for Zhang Hong. Had he truly begun to entertain thoughts of surrender? With a resigned sigh, Pan Jiaying remarked, "Regardless of your decisions, we stand by you." "Where is the island we are heading to?" Zhang Hong replied, "It is several thousand kilometers from here, a very secure island where we shall continue to survive." Su Bo chuckled wryly. "Whatever path you choose, Xiao Zhang, I have no objections and will wholeheartedly support you. Let us diligently prepare ourselves before venturing to save this ailing world." Lin Xueshi then added, "Indeed, it is high time we enjoyed a spell of good days." Zhang Hong, feeling equally helpless, realized there was no alternative but to confront reality. The flying bunker glided slowly through the sky, heading towards the secure island Zhang Hong had described. The end.